5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Hello, welcome back to the INVICTUS stream. Pew, 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 pew. My name, as always, is Mr. Harlan Guthrie, and I am here with my fantastic brother, Alex.
Oh, stop! Thanks. Nice to be here tonight.
The incomparable Mr. Justin Thomas James.
Boink, boink, boink. How's it going, everybody?
And we are here with the first game of 2018. Boom! That is a weird concept to think of. It just felt like what was the last year that felt like a year? 2011. That kind of felt like a year, didn't it?
That was a year.
And then every other year after just kind of felt like a weird fadey.
Oh, I guess we're
hazy.
3 years from 2011 now. I guess we're 6 years from 2011.
That's how I count.
Nope.
Everything's from 2011. Nothing else exists. I hope everyone had a good holiday and a good New Year's Eve and a good Christmas and whatever you celebrate. Welcome back to the INVICTUS stream. If this is the first time you've ever seen an INVICTUS stream game, welcome. This is the perfect game to start on. Because why not?
Yeah.
We are a streaming role-playing game group. We stream every Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And next week we're starting a really awesome D&D campaign. We have so much awesome stuff coming up this year. We're excited to talk about. But welcome. And I hope you enjoy being here. It is, of course, an 18-plus stream.
That's right.
If you're not comfortable with 18 plus, such as swear words and graphic and sexual violence,
Vagina, poop, fuck, ass, shit.
then you do not have to watch this video. But before you close the video, you make sure to like it because it still makes us feel really good. In fact, anybody watching right now, like the video. Go do it right now. I'm going to count and watch. Also subscribe. When you subscribe, Justin gets his wings. Your hot wings.
Likes give me wings.
I was just thinking like hot wings come in off stage right, and you start eating.
Oh, damn it. You didn't have the wings ready.
God damn. Your people behind the scenes are just the laziest. But 18 plus. So if you don't like it, that's no problem whatsoever. If you are watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to us, as I mentioned. But also head over to our Facebook page and group. The Facebook page is where you like it and you get all the cool updates of like what's going on in our lives. And the Facebook group, man, that's the real cool place. That's where all the people that we love and want to hang out with hang out. Yeah.
We just had someone join a few seconds ago.
No way. Right. Who is it?
Yeah.
Just accepted them.
Someone just joined.
What's their
name? Her name is Maya Canavan.
Oh, wait. I got sound effects for this.
Welcome.
Hello, Maya.
Wait a minute.
And she's got a very cute picture of a cat.
Welcome, Maya. You are the winner of the Respect Award. That's right. Every stream, we have the Respect Award in 2018, and you win the respect of us. Well done. Another round of applause.
Congratulations.
Why not? We should always have more rewards, right? Well done for that. But yeah, the Facebook group, that's where everyone hangs out. That's where all the cool people are chatting and sharing ideas. And this week, it's also, where you can win Most Valuable Post. It's the post of the week that stands out amongst the rest. It is the most interesting one. The post with the mostest. But it is a great community. And this week we had such a great number of posts and ideas from all of you that it was really tough to pick one as the winner. But we still did it because, that's what we do. We have to. The winner this week is Mr. Carlisle Laurent.
Congrats, Carlisle.
For his post, which was basically he had asked for a bit of help and suggestions for his D&D campaign, and then he posted and sort of reported back on how it went. And in fact, we're looking to get a bit more information. You should tell us how it went exactly. Give us a breakdown. You did mention that your players are awfully interested in killing. Expand, please. That's something that no one does anymore. Remember that? Remember when that was really popular? Now no one does that. No, but expand, please, and let us know exactly what happened. But that's what it takes. Be communicative. Share some ideas. Be a friend. And that's really what the group comes down to. Friendship, and hanging out and watching this silly little stream. That's right. So well done, Carlisle, for MVP. This is 2018. This is the start tonight of a whole slew of beautiful changes that are coming. But tonight we are starting a brand new series called The Skeleton's Key. It is a one-shot series, sort of, that will be continuing on through one-shots throughout the year. I realized this today, actually, when I was like, I want to start a new series. I realized pretty much every year
is a new
one shot series. Justin, I can hear myself through your thing right now.
Oh, I thought it was your mic again, Harlan.
It's not Mike.
I can hear myself.
It's Justin.
Oh my God.
Up. Echo.
Help.
Justin, we're like echoing on loop. Whatever you did, man. You wild man.
I think you unplugged your headphones.
I'm going to mute
Why
him.
am I myself?
I think that should fix it temporarily. Now no one can hear you right now. Right now, I've muted the desktop audio, and I'm just talking so that people don't have to hear that. But I think it might be fixed now, Justin? Yeah, he muted himself. Anyway.
Can't hear you.
You can hear me. We can't hear Justin.
That's right. Weird.
Anyway, The Skeleton's Key is a brand new series, which is going to start tonight. But I realized every year that I start a new one shot. Last year was Revenant, which I think we did like 4 episodes of. The year before that, we kind of had a new one shot as well. I forget now what it was. But anyway, so this is going to be this year's, and I'm excited to unveil it tonight. And starting next week, we are going to be doing the mother of all D&D campaigns for you guys. We wanted to mix things up this year and do something a little bit different. So starting next week, we're doing a persistent universe D&D campaign where we're going to be playing the same characters for a long time, letting you guys grow attached to them, watch them die maybe. Who knows? It's going to be a lot of fun. So hype for that, and check it out. Justin, did you figure out your mic? He says no. He doesn't even know. So Alex, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing very well. Thank you for asking, Harlan. Today was another normal day at work because I worked through the Christmas vacation.
No, I don't care about what you... Listen, who cares what you worked? No one wants to know that. They want to know the fun stuff,
But let me
Alex.
finish, because towards the end of the day, I got really hyped up, didn't know what we were playing until almost last minute, and then it just... You know when you don't plan for anything, but all your thoughts come to a point like this, and it just comes to you?
Explodes.
You're like, oh, I don't know what I want to do, but then you're like, I know, and the ideas start rolling off the tip of your tongue.
I do know that feeling. That's exactly how tonight came about.
Yeah, I knew you would.
I
knew you would.
If you are, this is a good point to reiterate something we mentioned last year, which was last week. If you are new to the stream or you are a fan of us, please share what you might like about us. Go to your friend's house and staple a picture of us to their door. That's how I tell people good news.
Or their forehead.
Although it's tough with your forehead because peel it off and turn around and look at it.
Plus they can't see. That's right.
There he is.
Hey, I'm back.
Oh, wait, no, it's fantastic.
Woo. We have a lot of mic problems. All the end of last year, I had mic problems.
The end of last year.
It's true.
2 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's all good, and everybody's happy and ready to continue on. Okay. Is there anything else we need to talk about? I don't think so.
Another new person.
What?
Wow.
What?
Arturo Kaisut.
The problem is because we started giving out this respect award, and now people are all trying to
Stops now.
Everybody wants the respect
That's
award.
it. It was a one-off. No more respect. You have lost your chance to be respected. Who's this person? Let's welcome them as well.
Arturo Kaisut. I don't really know how to spell that.
But you said it all right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to pronounce the story. Obviously, I know how to spell it. I'm looking right at it.
Oh, there you go.
Welcome, Arturo Kaisut. How did you hear about us?
Alex can't type and not read out what he's typing. You'll notice.
Let's all welcome.
Very annoying when he's writing his great American novel, despite being Canadian. He's another Canadian.
Remember the time I was typing my password and I was like,
I did. He actually did that. That's not even a joke. I forgot about that. What were you doing? You were doing something. I remember.
I was trying to log in. I can't remember.
He was like, Alien 1. The funny thing is that used to be your password. I remember. Alien.
Yeah, maybe.
I do remember you used to be Alien. Anyway. Enough of this. I don't think there's anything else we need to talk about. I don't know.
Nah.
Maybe I'll be doing a spooky stream this weekend. I don't know. I haven't thought about it yet. But if I do, join that. Spooky stream. Oh, man. I got to gush for a real quick second. The last game I played... I got to gush. The game that I played last spooky stream, which was on Friday, is called Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice.
Oh, yeah,
Such a
that's the
good
one.
game.
Very Numenera-esque, right? Like the
No, it looks
dinosaur.
It looks it, but no. You're thinking of that other one, which I forget the name of. No, this is a Viking, and she's taking her lover's head to hell to like get him back. Man, though, really fucking good game. I'm actually really excited to play that again, so I might do it this weekend again, actually. But anyway, enough about that. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we venture to the Skeleton's Key. Tonight, subtitled The Maiden Exploration, will start the adventurers off on a quest that will take them to an island long since forgotten, an island rife with ancient evils and spirits and creatures of all shapes and sizes. Join us, if you will, for this maiden exploration. And now, the credits. You sit in two tall chairs across a mahogany desk. Seymour Chapman stands behind it. Thin, jetting orange light cuts through the blinds of the window of his penthouse office in downtown Chicago. He looks contemplatively out of the window to the bustling city below. Without turning to you, he begins to talk. It's been a year to remember. The war is now over. The men and women go back to work, back to their lives, complacent in the idea that the world is as it once was. But this is not the case. Mr. Chapman is one of the world's wealthiest individuals. You sit, again expectantly, the two of you, in this large, grandiose office, after hearing rumblings of an expedition taking place. And as he rounds the large desk, his fingers lightly slide over the globe of the world on his tabletop and spins it softly. He walks past you to the wall at the far side of the room, laden with books, all the way to the top. He peruses some of the titles. The Lost World. Adventure. Are you two adventurers? He says, again, without turning towards you.
I turn and look at the other man standing there, expecting his response.
I look at the man sitting beside me, and he looks like he's expecting a response, so I respond. No, sir, I'm not an adventurer at all, sir.
That goes for me, too. I never been on real adventure, except for the war. But I didn't want to be on that.
And what does it take, do you think, to be an adventurer, an explorer? Is it just the yearning to want more? Is it to take the first steps? And he turns around again for the first time, facing you, and you see an older man, maybe in his mid-60s. He's wearing a pinstripe suit, and a vest and a colored tie. And he looks at you through slitted eyes, his eyes dancing between the two of you, and he rounds back towards the desk. Is it the action of taking the first step, or is it just wistful want of thinking of something beyond what you can imagine? Do you believe that this is all there is in the world? This civilization? Men killing men with machine. Is this all we have to offer? And he looks to you first. Hollis?
Is there more to the world than meets the eye? Yeah, probably. I mean, I learned when I was young that there was a power much greater than any of ours. And if I don't believe in the Lord, then I wouldn't be able to believe anything else. But if I can believe in him, who's to say that there aren't other great powers out there?
And he nods at you with almost a coy smile as you talk about the Lord. And you, James, what of you?
Yes, you could just call me Jim, sir, if you don't mind. Of course, there's the power of the Lord, but I've been all over this country, and I tell you, I've seen a lot of different kinds of people in a lot of different places, and I'll tell you, there's one thing that brings me joy is seeing the joy in others, and I'm not really sure if that is the same as adventure, but I suppose that if you were on an adventure, you'd feel joy because otherwise you wouldn't do it, right, sir?
Yes, Jim. Good answer. Good answer, both. And he turns again back to the setting sun out the window, but only for a second, and then turns back to the two of you. Undoubtedly, you've heard of me and my considerable wealth. What you don't know is that in my younger days I was an adventurer, an explorer, someone who yearned to sail the seas and discover new and distant lands. Imagine my disappointment to find that so much of the world had already been discovered. And he talks as he rounds the desk and walks to the far side of the wall as the two of you sort of turn around, the leather in the chair squeaking beneath you. And he walks to a large wall bathed in darkness and clicks on a light, and you see a bulletin board from floor to ceiling filled with articles and hand-drawn maps, photographs, articles of all various kinds, trinkets and artifacts. And he looks at it, studying it as he has almost what you can imagine 1,000 times. Imagine my disappointment to believe that the world was almost completely explored. And he stops and his eyes focus on a large map in the center. An island. And he turns to you. But it was not the case. There is an island. An island that exists, shrouded in mist and mystery, one that has been ignored for a millennia. No man, no cartographer, no explorer has ever found it before. But it exists out there. And he points to the map, and written in thick pen it says, "The Skeleton's Key." Built on a shrapnel reef that extends far beyond any ship's reach. It exists. And furthermore, and he takes a half step towards the two of you, I believe that this island remains our Garden of Eden, untouched by human, unscathed by our desire to destroy one another with machine. It sits there, completely new, waiting to be opened. And he coughs very loudly, a guttural cough with a bit of a crackle of wet behind it. Gentlemen, there's no use in beating around the bush. It will be in the paper soon enough, but I am dying. I appreciate your sympathy, Jim, but that is not why I am forming this expedition. I am forming this expedition because I want to see this island with my own eyes before I pass away. The last bit of unexplored territory on this God's green earth. So, I am forming an expedition, paying handsomely, taking qualified men and women with me, in order to seek out this island and discover it. Perhaps understand why it has remained untouched for so many long years. And he walks again around his desk and sits down in a high-backed chair and opens a drawer and pulls out a stack of dossiers and slaps them down, but slides them to the side after a second and crosses his fingers. Hollis and Jim, you have come here through various means. Some because of your reputation, some because you've sought me out. I am only looking to bring the best, most qualified individuals with me. But I ask you again, are you adventurers?
Well, sir, if I could be so bold as to speak up here, I left home at a young age because I didn't quite want to sit idle, sir, and so by definition of if what you're saying makes an adventurer or someone that wants to discover new lands, then yes, I do yearn for adventure, and I'm not gonna lie, the sound of money also draws me.
Jim, I appreciate your candor. In times like this, I need not beat around the bush. You have an extensive career in animal handling. How did you come about that?
Shucks, I mean, I always had a bit of a hand when it came to dealing with animals, everywhere from my pa's dog, vicious old thing, but I could tame it, and the local horses, they would always be very friendly with me. But then when I joined the circus, they put me in with the wicked monkeys and the tigers, and why, my old master, when I was an apprentice, he was eaten by tigers. And I'll tell you, I watched it happen. That's a terrible thing, but I learned to deal with my own fears, and I put my head in the mouth of a lion. Believe it or not, I have, and I trained that lion not to chomp down. And so whatever it is that I have, I believe that if we come in contact with any wild particular animal, I could tame it, sir, if I could be so bold.
Bold is exactly what I want you to be, Jim. When I read through your record, when my secretary gave me this dossier, learning about your time in the circus and the various animals that you've captured and trained, I don't know what this lost island will hold exactly. And I think you are the perfect person to come with.
Well, thank you, sir. I reckon I can handle anything that's thrown at me.
Very good. And he takes one of the dossiers from the side and kind of opens it, looks at it, and shuts it and puts it on top of the stack. And then he turns slowly towards you, Hollis. And he says, "And Mr. Baker, you have a bit of a sordid past, do you not?"
Mm-hmm. You could say that. Do you mind? I hold up a cigarette and a match.
No, of course not. He says as he leans back in the chair.
Mr. Chapman, if it weren't for you, I'd be rotting in the West Virginia county jail right now. Probably for the rest of my life. So when you ask me whether I'm ready for an adventure, what you're really asking is whether or not I'm a man who repays his debt. And let me tell you, yes, I am. Wherever the hell you have us going, this skeleton's key, I'll go with you. You supply me with the hardware, so to speak, and I'll make sure your men are protected, looked after.
Mr. Chapman sits forward. The creaking leather of his chair fills this almost silent room. Your smoke billows up through the orange light, again cutting through the blinds, and you hear the ticking of a clock above the doorway. That is exactly the answer I was hoping for, Hollis. And he stands up, and he grabs your dossier, and he opens it and looks down. You are a weapons expert. You said here my secretary collected. They called you the Slugger. Why
It's a
was
name
that?
I haven't heard in a long time, but yes.
Why the Slugger?
Have you become familiar with a new piece of weaponry? It's a gun, just like a rifle almost, except it's shorter, stout, wide barrel. They call it a shotgun, or, well, they call it for the ammunition it uses, slugs. Slugger is my specialty, using shotguns. But I'm also not so bad with my fists, which is where I think the name comes from.
Very good. And he slaps the dossier and sticks it on the pile. And there's a big fat pile. Hollis and Jim, with you, that gives us a team of 6. And he ticks off the bottom. Jonathan Witt, our expedition leader, and he tosses it in front of you, and you see the picture of a stoic British man, kind of sitting up, clean-shaven, short hair. You are weapon experts. You are weapon expert, Hollis Baker, and he slaps down your own mugshot on the top. A demolitions expert, because I don't know what we're going to counter. And he tosses down Gregor Petrov. He's a Russian, but he's the best in the business. A geologist by the name of Sally Wexler, and he tosses down, you see a young, pretty face on top. You, James Jones, our animal handler. And finally an archaeologist, Eric Stanton, an American, clever. And he tosses it down, you see a man with slick black hair and a thin mustache. You 6 will lead the expedition into the island. I have organized a expedition party filled with researchers and scientists, as well as me, my secretary, and a few close right-hand men that I trust very much. And he walks around the desk, and as he does, he sort of stops himself, leaning on the desk a bit.
You all right, Mr. Chapman?
Yes. It's just... no, I'm fine. And he continues around back towards the bulletin board. There's a large steamship, the Bacal, and he points, and you see a photograph of a steamship. That will take us as close to the island as possible. From there, we'll take small boats past the shrapnel reef and land on the beaches. The island is completely uncharted, so I know not what we will encounter. And he only says it with a bit of excitement. From there, we will set up a landing site on the beach with whatever materials we might need, campsites, fires, weaponry. I have the main base being coordinated by a man I trust very much, Jones Kaufman. He'll be in charge of security for the main campsite. From there, that's when the 6 of you will set out into the island and begin charting the area. Now, I understand that you might have questions about the island. Believe me, I've studied it for many a year. And furthermore, you may have questions about your pay. Men, I have one dream left to fulfill in this world, and it is getting to this island and bringing the most qualified people with me. I am willing to pay handsomely for that. And he takes out 2 checks from his coat pocket and slides them face down towards each of you. And if you look at the checks, they are, I want to say like 10,000, but that's ridiculous in 19.
More money than we've ever seen.
More money than you've ever seen.
I just fold mine without looking at it and slip it into my pocket.
Classy.
I look at mine, my eyes go wide, and then they dart to Jim, and I do the same. I fold it up and put it in my pocket.
Now, of course, the checks will not be able to be cashed until you return, which means tomorrow morning, when that boat leaves, you might want to be on it. Do you have any questions for me? And he sits down in his chair.
Yeah. How do you know about this island when nobody else does?
It's a good question. And he stands up again and walks to the bookshelf. And he pulls out a very small, thin, handwritten diary and turns it over in his hands. This is a diary that I came into possession. It is not in English. He slaps it down, or gently places it down and slides it across the table to you. It recalls the account of a sailor traveling through the Pacific. He talks of a great mist that he was caught in, and how the reef nearly destroyed his ship. It doesn't talk about how he got off the island, but it talks about him laying outwardly on a rock until he was somehow rescued and this diary retrieved. Now, and he looks between the two of you, and you can tell he's sort of hesitant to give you a bit of information. Someone can give me a persuasion roll. We're using Call of Cthulhu system, by the way. Or I guess the D100 system is what it might be called.
My God, I closed my thing. I don't know why I did
Persuasion. I'm not much for persuasion myself.
You, I think you asked the question, so you're probably best to pull a persuasion. I don't have anything either way, so. Do you need it? What's a basic roll if you don't have it?
Your skill sheet will tell you.
Yeah, it'll be on there with your skill sheet. It'll be whatever the default is.
It says persuade 10%.
Yep.
So you
that's
need
the same
10%.
as me.
So roll 1d100.
Oh, I see.
Well, I'll go ahead and roll the 1d100. Let's
Okay.
see. You'll get lucky. Hey! I got a 3.
Wow! You did get lucky, didn't you?
What'd you get?
A 3.
3.
Holy shit.
That's really good. Oh, wow. Okay. Fair enough. I didn't think you were going to get that.
Me
Seymour
neither.
Chapman is hesitant for a second, but you can tell he wants to say more.
Seymour, I owe you. That much we both know. But the more I can know about this island and what we're getting ourselves into, I say looking at Jim, the better we're going to be able to help you and be prepared for whatever comes up.
Very well. I want you to know that this diary goes on to say that from this sailor's vantage point on one of the outwardly rocks surrounding the shrapnel reef, he spent many a day there studying the island and the creatures that he saw inhabiting it were ancient and old, things that I scoffed at when I first read them. Creatures long since extinct, 5 times, 10 times, some 30 times the regular size. Gentlemen, this island is untouched, unscathed by the modern world. It remains a bastion of God's finest creatures. I cannot stress enough the gem in which we have here. Years of my work have been poured into finding this island. Getting there will be monumental and difficult, but I promise you, if even a fraction of what this diary says is true, we will be on the adventure of our lifetimes.
Hearing the passion and almost deranged enthusiasm in his voice, I give Jim a knowing look. And then Jim speaks up.
Actually, Jim stands up and with almost a questioning sort of look towards Seymour, I walk to the wall where he's got all of his information, the floor to ceiling bulletin board. And I kind of continue looking back at Seymour, wondering if he's going to say, sit down or something.
No, and he sort of almost is like nodding, like.
So
Look
I
as much
continue
as
to the wall and I start looking at all the different things. And while I'm looking, I slip a small book out of my pocket. And on the front of the book, it is just a blank, small leather-bound book, but I've handwritten animal encounters. And as I flip through it, I've got how different animals act, and even studying that I may have done, and it's badly written. I did not learn to spell, but I know what I'm looking at, and I ask, what sort of animals can we expect in this area of the world? And I kind of looking around the area for a map as well, for kind of a general location.
And it's in the South Pacific, sort of just in like south east of Australia. And he says, the animals on this island, they are, again, and he hovers over the diary, from the very thin lines written on this journal. I don't think anything in your book there is going to be able to help you. And he says it almost with a crazed excitement.
And looking again at the map on the wall, and how would we recognize the island? Is it the only one in this reef, or are there others to be mistaken with it?
It's the only one in this area, and in fact, it took me a long time to try to track down. And he sort of walks over to you, and you notice for the first time he walks with a bit of a limp, a bit of a hobble, but he's very proud of it. He doesn't use a cane. He sort of tries to hide it, and I think as his excitement has sort of blossomed, he's dropped a bit of the pretense of trying to appear towards you two. And he walks over to it with a bit of a hobble, and he says, yeah, I had my secretary and my businesses track down various shipping containers and shipping cargo between the two ports, and here the island is encapsulated in a shroud of mist so thick that any ship tends to steer away from it. But, and he kind of points to the map, and you see again the map is sort of has this outline in an unknown shape, with sort of like cloud-like drawings around it. And he says, but through the mist there lies the shrapnel reef, a set of very shallow, sharp stones and reef that almost acts as a protective barrier between the island, which is why we won't be able to take the Bacall close to the island at all. In fact, our goal is to only be at a short period on the island. But, of course, like anything, we do have contingencies. And he points to, again, the map, and he says, the Bacall will come into the island from the south. We'll let off the small rowing vessels, and we'll move inwardly towards what we hope is a beachable area. From there, we'll return to the ship. But if something should happen and a storm should approach, in 2 days' time from our original landing, I have a second ship scheduled to pick us up from the west side of the island. Just in case something should happen, there'll be a small series of vessels landing on that beachfront as well. Seymour Chapman doesn't go anywhere without a contingency plan, he says with a small smile, and he kind of, again, favors his leg as he walks back towards the desk.
And I guess I have only really one last question, but it might be the most important question that I have for you, Mr. Chapman.
Then please ask.
What is it we should be looking for, other than to diarize what we may see on the island?
Like Magellan or other famous explorers who sailed blindly into the unknown to the New World, we are truly explorers. Nothing, and I mean nothing, Jim, is to be expected with this island. For all I know, it could be a barren wasteland devoid of life, or a lush, beautiful world held secret and safe from this modern travesty. Or perhaps, and he even smiles as he looks over to the large, thick Bible on the shelf. Or perhaps it is Eden itself, and we may meet Adam and Eve.
And I sort of cut him off and at the end, and I say, and I suppose if I could be so bold, sir, at the end of the day, well, it'll be yours to have been discovered. You could name it Chapman Island. Just like Magellan. Or whatever his name was, sir. Excuse my...
No, you're perfect. Well, there is much to do and much to prepare. Can I count the two of you in?
And Hollis stands up, hands out a beefy hand, and says, I'll see you tomorrow morning.
And Jim, watching Horace do this, also stands up and also puts out a hand and says, and me too, sir. I'm there too, kind of looking at Horace in a sort of a fearful yet respected manner, cowering before this tall, dark man.
Bing Rams type.
Yeah, and Seymour nods to the two of you. Very well. Then tomorrow, at sunset, I will meet you at the docks to board the Bacall and start this great adventure. And with that, he motions you to the door. The two of you have stepped outside of his office, and the secretary looks up towards you in big, thick-rimmed glasses, and she says, so can we count the two of you in for the expedition tomorrow, I assume?
Yes, you can.
Very few people said no to Mr. Chapman. I want you to know that. But very few people were also invited into his office, so I hope you feel good. And she takes a clipboard and spins it around towards the two of you. Two clipboards, actually. And she says, there's some paperwork that you need to fill out, obviously. But most importantly, on the back of those sheets, you'll find there is a request list for any items that need to be procured for the expedition. Now, Mr. Seymour and Chapman Industries has extensive ties to pretty much all the major manufacturing parts around here. So if you need anything, you bet it'll be on there. Go to town, folks. And you take the clipboard and you see it's just a large blank sheet of paper for whatever you might need. So you guys can type in chat. Actually, I mean, put it this way. Anything you need within reason, you're not going to get a tank, obviously. I don't think even really tanks for that. But when it comes to weapons, provisions, gear, anything like that, you're going to get it. Chapman is the wealthiest man that you've heard of. He's world-renowned almost. Sort of has connections into all major export and importing businesses and things of that ilk. So you have no concerns. And as the two of you sort of share a look, you kind of feel like a kid in a candy store as you sit down in sort of the waiting room and begin scribbling down. And you have a moment just between the two of you.
What have we here? Okay.
Why, it's just a blank page. There's nothing on it.
Well, what do you need to tame your animals?
Well, I don't need much, but can I tell you something, Hollis?
What's that?
I can't really write. And maybe you could just write stuff down for me on yours?
You never learned to write? White man like you? Fancy hat?
Well, excuse me, sir, but I ain't like none of those other white guys. I don't mind you black folk. You're mighty good people, you know.
Right on.
I worked with many of you in the circus, and
yeah.
Well, so and I know what they say about you, but I know what people say about me, and no, I never learned to write. So,
what do they say about us, Jim?
Well, you know, you read the newspapers. Hollis.
And I write
what
down.
I'm getting
I write down on the piece of paper at that moment, 10 gauge shotgun.
What's that say there?
It says a gift for you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Hollis. Maybe you could write something down for me?
All right, what do you want?
Shoes, please.
Shoes? I take a look down at his feet.
You see like these like wilted, holy pieces of leather.
All right, you got it. And I write down what's like a really inefficient shoe.
Slippers, clog,
sandals,
clog.
Wooden clogs.
Oh, you're just trying to be nice.
I'll put down some boots too.
All right, so the two of you write down whatever you need on your procurement sheets, which is what they were called, and you hand them back to her, and she, as you leave the office.
And I do attempt to write down a bunch of stuff, and it's like really badly spelled. Like there's just like it's just sounding out
phonetically.
A bullwhip. It's like BILWUP.
You just draw it.
Bill whip.
Jeez. Wow.
All right.
It's amazing the stuff he has though, or he can get.
Yeah. And as you leave the office, the secretary says, "Good luck, boys, and all the best with you." And as you shut the door, the scene changes to the night of the ship. The sound of the horn and the steam already begins filling the docks as you see massive lifts being craned onto the steamship as the two of you sort of arrive. This is like the adventure music, right? Like dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And large jeeps are being loaded onto the steamship. You see padded crates being lifted up, and especially for this year, these are things you've never seen before. I guess not jeeps, sorry, cars. I like, Model Ts and shit like that. But they're also new and like things you've never seen before, like weird tracks on the wheels. And they're all being lifted on the ship. There are people pointing and yelling, and there's smoke in the air. And as you walk down the thin wooden dock towards the boarding platform, you see an American with slick black hair leaning on some of the bags, smoking. And he looks towards the two of you and says, "You guys the last two ones to join, huh?" And he flicks his cigarette.
That's right. Got to bum one of those off you?
Yeah. And he takes it out and he hands you one, and he shakes your hand first, Jim, and he says, "You
yes, sir.
The weapons expert."
Me, sir? No, not me. And I'm a full different person today. I'm quite excited, and I'm not facing a big millionaire. No, sirree. I'm an animal trainer.
Oh, thank God.
This guy is the weapons expert.
Oh, perfect. Very nice.
Hollis Baker.
And he shakes your hand too. He says, "Yeah, very nice to meet you. Name is Eric Stanton. I'm a part of this here crew. I'm the archaeologist."
You been on any adventures like this before?
I can't say as I have. Listen, I don't think any of us have. I don't know how much Mr. Chapman told you, but from what I hear, if anything that he said is true, we're in for one fucking hell of a ride.
That's right, Mr. Stanton. Where do you come from?
I'm from New York, actually, and I taught at the university for a few years, and listen, I wanted to get out of here for a few other reasons, but realistically, Mr. Chapman came to me, said they were looking to put an expedition together. He explained it, and I think everyone got the check that he wrote. And hell, I'm in for an adventure and maybe a little bit of tomfoolery. What say you guys?
Yeah. Can't say I really have much of a choice.
You and me both. And he picks up his large sort of duffel bag, flips it over his backpack, and starts walking up the platform. He says, "Well, anyway, I guess I'll see you in the cabin." And he begins walking up. And as he does, you see a young woman kind of bump into the back of you, Jim, and she drops her bag. She says, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And she looks up at you.
That's all right. I'm Jim. Nice to meet you. And I throw my hand out towards her.
Sally Wexler. Nice to meet you. I'm the geologist. You're the
animal trainer. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Wexler. This here's Hollis. He's a weapons expert.
Oh, Hi, Mr.
Ma'am.
Hollis. And she holds her hand out.
Ma'am, and I shake her hand.
Oh, well, this is all so exciting, isn't it? I've never been to... And again, towering overhead is a massive crane lifting a large, heavy stack of supplies onto... Wow, this is just also overwhelming.
It's quite incredible what they can do nowadays. I mean, I tell you, isn't that right, Hollis? See, Hollis and I, we're probably staying together, aren't we, Hollis? And I kind of elbow him in the leg because he's so tall. We're gonna be friends, Hollis and I.
Yeah. You ever been on a boat, Sally?
No, not a boat this big.
Well, it ain't so bad. You just close your eyes, it kind of feels like you're back in the rocking chair with Grandma. You know what I mean?
And she sort of laughs a little bit and says, yeah, I do. I'm actually from Georgia. You sound like you're from the South as well.
West Virginia.
Huh.
And I'm here from Tennessee.
That's nice. And she kind of looks more at Hollis than you, Jim. And she's kind of like, well, it's nice to meet you guys. I guess we'll meet up in the mess hall. And she begins walking up the platform as well. And the large steam whistle blows and booms across the night as the setting sun over the water behind it sort of begins cutting through.
I think she likes you, Jim.
Oh, you think so, Hollis? This is sure exciting. Everybody here is real nice so far.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't you found that, Hollis?
Well, especially you. And I stick my cigarette on the ground. I stuff it out with my foot, and I begin walking up. You coming or what?
Yeah, I am. And I start dragging my bag behind me and trying to lift it up. Got everything I ever owned living in there.
And as you come up to the top, you see a sort of a small, short, balding man with glasses, and your name. And he kind of looks up towards you, Hollis. You must be Hollis Baker. You're the only Negro. You're the only. You're the only one.
He's my pal.
You're the only one here that. And he sort
You
of
can
checks.
say black man.
Yeah. Okay. Black man, you're the only. You're in cabin B, and you must be. Who are you?
The name is Jim Jones.
James Jones. Yes. Yeah. You're in cabin. Well, hey, everyone needs a bunkmate. You guys are in B.
I knew it, Horace. I knew we'd be together.
Damn it!
Sorry,
it's Hollis, Jim.
Sorry, Hollis. I knew I was gonna slip that up. Damn it.
You ain't gonna be talking all day, are you?
Not if you don't want me to, Hollis. I'll shut up right now.
My name is Cretan Mills, and I work directly with Mr. Chapman. He's already on board in his stateroom. He's not feeling too well. Jonathan Witt, the expedition leader, wants everyone to meet in the I guess the mess hall. So if you can drop your bags off and then just head over to the mess hall, if that's okay, Mr. Baker. And Jim, if you can head over to the mess hall as soon as you drop your bags, well, that would be just that would just be great.
Now, just 1 second, Mills. We signed some papers yesterday saying that we'd be provided with supplies. I'd like to take a look at those before the boat takes off. Just make sure they're in working order. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course. Yeah, no. Well, most of them are already below, but and he sort of walks over, and you see these large slats being dropped into sort of the undercarriage of the ship through massive holes. And as you lean over, you look. There are crates and crates, things that say explosives on the side of it. Again, cars wrapped in that like rope, not the rope, but I can't remember what it's called, the pressure stuff. And he says, well, it's all down there. If you'd like, I can take you down and we can go through some of it. But the voyage itself is going to take about a week, and believe me, there'll be plenty of time to be able to pour over all the stuff before we get to the island.
You can assure me before this boat leaves that all my guns are going to work. None of them are going to jam on me.
Listen, Mr. Baker. Mr. Chapman brought you on board to be the weapons expert. It wouldn't be very smart to not have any weapons.
Yeah, not have any working weapons. I'll take a look at them now. Hey, Jim, you want to go down to the mess hall? Tell him I'll be a bit late.
Sure thing, Hollis. I'll do that for you.
And you can see Mills is a bit, well, okay. And he sort of goes down with you. And over the next 20 or so minutes, you and Mr. Mills pour over and you open crates and you check the weapons. And they all seem to be working in working order. In the meantime, James, what do you do?
I down at the mess hall. I'm not forthcoming with the information, but I'm not hiding it either. I just say, my friend Hollis, the weapons expert who's on the ship, he's down checking the weapons, and I was told to tell you all that we have to wait for him because.
So yeah, you enter the mess hall, and you see when you say this, you sort of enter and say it, and then you survey the room, and you see a kitchen area. In the back, you see sort of a large L counter, sort of in the corner, and 3 metal sort of picnic tables with stools around them that are bolted to the floor. And leaning over the center table, looking up at you, is a very thin, well-shaved, well-groomed man who looks like he has sort of a bit of military training. He's got a very strict brow on him. Sitting on the other table, leaning back, is a large, burly Russian man without sleeves and tattoos all over him. And he's sort of got an eyebrow up looking at you, and he's chewing on a fat cigar. On the other far table, you see Sally Wexler, who you've already met, and she's sitting next to Eric Stanton, who's sort of looking at her and sort of speaking quietly to her. And as you enter and say this, all 4 of them turn towards you, sort of expectantly, and then most turn towards Jonathan Witt, who is again leaning over the table, and he looks up and says, "All right, then I guess we'll wait." And he sits down at the table. "You must be James Jones, our animal handler."
That's right, sir. That's me, and I'm thankful to be here and glad to meet all of you, and I hope we have a successful journey.
You hear a smack as the Russian bangs the table and sits forward. "What makes you so special at animals? I've seen many in life. They're not scary. You grab them. Back in Russia, bears come out of the woods and we slap them back in." And he kind of spins the cigar in his mouth. "What's so great to you, little man?"
Well, sir, have you ever had a wild cat hunt you down in the dark of night?
You mean small pussycat, like meow? This is the island filled with pussycats, Mr. Wheat. And Witt says, "No, it's not filled with pussycats. He's saying lions, tigers, things of that nature. Right, Mr. Jones?"
That's right, Mr. Witt. And you must be Gregor.
Gregor Petrov, yes. I blow things up.
Nice to meet you, Gregor. But you see, it's easy to set off a stick of dynamite that doesn't move, but when you're lying there in the dark of night and you know there's something out there in the night that can see much farther than you, that can smell you from hundreds of meters away, that knows the pump of your blood through your veins, and it's got teeth the size of fingers and a pounce the length of 2 cars and the strength of, well, much stronger than you, sir, you might be kind of fearful as well. And I'll tell you what, if you can look in that animal's eyes and tell it to sit, well, then you're a better man than I am.
And the entire mess hall is silent as you finish talking. And Gregor is just rolling the cigar in his mouth through slitted eyes. And he looks towards Jonathan. "I like this man. He's got, how you say this, balls. Big balls. Ah!" And he slaps the table again. And as he does, Hollis, you enter the mess hall. And again, you see Sally Wexler, Eric Stanton, Gregor Petrov, who's speaking to James, and Jonathan Witt, who leans up as you enter the room and says, "Ah, how nice of you to join us. Mr. Baker?"
That's right, Mr. Baker. Just had a preliminary inspection of the guns, and they seem to be in working order. Good job to your provisions expert, whoever that might be.
Well, listen, my job starts here. Unfortunately, I'd like to take credit for any of these, but Seymour Chapman of Chapman Industries has kindly graced us all with the same benefits of being able to put anything we want on that list. And Gregor sort of laughs. Oh, lots of dynamite. I blow lots of shit up. And Sally Wexler sort of laughs a bit in the corner, and Eric Stanton says, yeah, this guy's not trigger happy, is he? And he looks to you, Hollis.
You want to know if I'm trigger happy?
No, the big scary Russian in the corner who keeps banging the table every time he laughs. And a
Well,
loud bellowing Russian laugh comes out as he smacks the table in the corner.
Let me just say I wish I put earplugs on that list.
And Gregor stands up from the table, and he's a hulking man. He's got a foot on you, and he walks over. You say that I'm too loud, perhaps, Mr. Baker.
When you start lighting that dynamite, you will be. Right now, you're not too bad, though. Now pat him on the chest.
And he just looks down at your hand and looks back up at you. When I start lighting that dynamite, are you a brave man, Mr. Hollis?
No, not at all.
And he turns around and he slaps Jim on the back real hard. Whap! This man is brave! And he grabs your shoulder and sort of shakes you. This man. Bravest man on this trip. And he walks to the corner as he begins laughing. Right, so if we're all done there, I think it is worthwhile to introduce everyone. This is Eric Stanton, our American archaeologist. And Eric sort of nods. This is Mrs. Sally Wexler, our geologist, and she again sort of smiles. We all know Gregor Petrov, and he again laughs. And I am Jonathan Witt. I am the expedition leader. I understand that it's not natural for many of you without military training to follow my lead blindly, but I hope we can get past that and work together on a safe and comfortable voyage. Very good?
I have a question, Mr. Witt, if you don't mind, sir.
Yes, Jones.
I take it that you do have a military background. Is that so?
Yes, I do.
And with the Green Beret, sir?
No.
Oh.
I don't know that existed in 1918. Perhaps.
I don't know if it does. What I meant was Scottish Yard. Scotland Yard.
Aren't they like
MI6? Something else that sounds much more fitting to this time range.
Listen, son.
Blank.
And he says, I am part of Plank. And it's the, oh, okay. So you know immediately he's well qualified.
Plank?
Whatever the blank was. That's what I was.
Oh.
Right?
Like,
I was a decorated soldier in this war. I was blah, 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 blah. And he kind of prattles on a bit. So you do not need to doubt my credentials. And believe me, I have studied each of your dossiers and files, and I think, frankly, Mr. Chapman has put together a pretty bang-up team here. I think together we will be able to find whatever might be on this island, if anything at all. I think it's important to manage expectations, at least in Chapman's case. Now, and he turns around and he pulls a small sort of box out and pulls out a map and puts it on the table as everyone sort of gets up from their places and walks over. Mr. Chapman has mentioned many of this, but I just want to reiterate very quickly. The Bacall will be sailing out, and he kind of points to where the island is. Says, we'll be approaching the island within a week's time. From there, we will be dropping anchor and taking the smaller life vessels out towards the water. Now, there are larger ones for the vehicles, but the vehicles will be coming at a later date should they be needed. Again, they are only there as a precaution because ultimately we have no idea what's going to be on this island. And he sort of details the plan. You know that the plan is to sail across the shrapnel reef in smaller boats, land on the beach, set up base camp. From there, you six, the six in this room, go further inland to sort of discover what's going on and then fall back to base camp at night and things like that. You also know that the plan is to stay there for only a week and use the same boats to return to the Bacall. However, as Seymour mentioned, or Chapman mentioned, there is a contingency plan on the west side of the island at 2 days' time from the initial launch that there will be a ship launching smaller vessels there that you could also use. And he reiterates all this.
Excellent. Who is Sally Wexler again?
Sally Wexler is the geologist.
What's the role of the geologist on this expedition? No offense, Miss Wexler.
And she says, none taken. Chapman believes that a lot of what we're going to experience is untouched, unscorched, unburdened by man. For all we know, there is a lot going on this island that has perhaps been there for millennia. And she sort of hesitates a little bit. I mean, I really should only be speaking to Chapman about this. I mean, I don't see it as necessary. And you can always roll something or other.
Oh, this is true.
Well, I don't want to press my luck with the persuasion.
Well,
So I'll smile and nod.
but I kind of pipe up and I ask both the archaeologist and the geologist, being that this island is so off in the distance, is it close enough, or maybe from the past, would either of you know if there could be animals from land bridges on one or some of this island?
And they both sort of look at each other a bit hesitantly. And Wit sort of cuts and says, listen, old boy, there's a lot going on here that I don't think any of us are going to be prepared for when we experience it. But as a man with a military background, I try to imagine the worst case scenario. And if Chapman is even remotely correct, there is a large, they say large, there is a possibility that the creatures on this island are of ancient origin. We're talking things that exist in museums at this point, things that no longer walk our earth. And now, whether that is and Gregor sort of cuts off. Are you telling me that that the dinosaurs are on this island? And Wit says, listen, Petrov, that's not what I'm saying. Chapman believes that there are creatures on this island of ancient origins, and that's as much as I'm going to say. And as you are talking, you hear the loud whistle, and a few glasses tink as everything on the ship begins moving. Well, I suppose that's our call for a 1-week voyage. Exactly, yeah.
And you see what Alex is drinking tonight.
Whatever the case...
Oh, good idea, Jim.
Whatever the case, I just want us all to be prepared. And the archaeologist speaks up. Are you telling me... I mean, what kind of joke is this? And he looks towards you, Jim, and you, Hollis. He says, you guys aren't buying this, are you? This bullshit that Chapman's put forth?
I listen to what he says, and I look at Sally's face for to read her expression.
And she's sort of excited.
Listen, Jonathan, I'm not getting paid to believe or not believe him.
No, that's Eric, I think.
Eric.
Yeah.
I'm not getting paid to believe him or not believe him. I'm getting paid to go to this island and protect you guys. Keep dangerous things off you, as is Jim here, and many of you. So, whether or not I actually think these creatures exist is irrelevant. If they do exist, they got a heartbeat, just like you and me. And a slug from a shotgun will put an end to them, as far as I'm concerned.
Fair enough, says Eric. Very good, Mr. Baker. And if that's the case, and I hope it's not the case, then yes, very well.
Just one last question, Mr. Witt. Is there a library on this boat?
Yes, there's actually quite an extensive library. And Sally Wexler pipes up. Yes, actually, I specifically requested it. I can show you if you'd like, Jones.
That would be much appreciated, Mrs. Wexler. And then I says under his breath, especially considering I can't read.
And Hollis, would you like to see the library too?
And Hollis is a bit taken aback because he started to chuckle when he asked for a library on a boat. I ain't ever heard of no library on a boat. I gotta see this.
Mr. Witt, is that all? Yes, we have a week to prepare and to discuss the options. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. But, gentlemen and lady, what we're doing here, I think it's important to measure adequately exactly the chance we have been given by Mr. Chapman. I'm not saying to necessarily thank him. I mean, he's paying us quite handsomely for it, but I think it's important to manage our expectations and understand that there is a great deal of danger in sailing to something as unknown as what we're about to. And Gregor laughs. Oh, danger is what I like. And you realize he's holding a stick of dynamite. Little bit of danger makes my blood pump. As he slaps the dynamite to his chest. Very good. Well, I'm in cabin A. Should anyone need me? Dismiss.
Heading to the library.
Yeah. So yeah, you leave and she heads out to the hallway.
I'd like to jump right to the library if I could.
Sure.
And do an intelligence roll.
Mm-hmm.
Or library use?
And
yeah,
I
library
failed
use makes a
anyways,
lot more sense,
so.
actually.
Library use?
It's literally on there.
20%. Should I re-roll?
What is intelligence?
65. I rolled a 65.
Yeah, you can re-roll for library use.
Thanks. 36. I still fail. But I would have passed my intelligence. And I ultimately, here's where I'm going with this.
99.
Yeah, I fail.
Here's where I'm going with this. I feel like my character is a bit of a savant in the sense that I don't really know. I can't read, but based on the types of texts that are pointed out to me, I feel like I am pulling out pieces from the text that are related to what I'm trying to find out. You know, animals of Peru, or like I'm doing a bunch of research on animals. So I'm kind of trying to predict what sort of animals are on the island. Okay. All while just passing time and entertaining Sally Wexler.
Well, you did fail. So
yeah.
Well, as Jim's going about and like looking at all of the books,
basically looking at pictures.
And yeah, I'm gonna like whisper over to Sally and say, "You don't know how to read." Can you go ahead?
And she's just gonna go, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "You're like Mr. Beaning it, like." Like you don't actually know it, and you like totally pass by all the books that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I like pull out a book of classic actors, and then I like start flipping through the pictures, and I'm like, oh, and then I put it back like I've learned something.
Yeah, and she's like and that's basically what happens in the library. Now you're there for
Sally doesn't help him out, like.
Well, he failed. But the thing is, you're there for a week, and library
failed.
use is really 4 hours of time. So ultimately, I'm going to allow it because really it's just a matter of compounded time. So no, eventually you do find the book, and maybe Sally doesn't help you read, but maybe Hollis does. And you were looking for animals of Peru or something?
No, like history of animals. Like I'm just doing general research on the types of extinct animals and dinosaurs and ancient species, more or less just passing the time.
No, for sure.
Just passing the time. It's really, that's all.
No, and give me a intelligent roll or something. Give me a roll to sort of show me what you learned from this book, if anything.
All right, here we go. Intelligence roll. Okay, so I pass. I've got a 55 intelligence and got a 34 on my roll. So I'm going to say,
tell you, or? No, you do learn things. You do learn a few interesting techniques that you were not aware of from creatures of this part of the world. And I will say, it's not going to be something that you're aware of right now, but it will come into play later. Something that you've learned.
And yeah, and this is where I was going. It just came to me that like it doesn't say, oh, here's how to train an elephant, right? No. But like using the techniques I have. And like what I'm reading, I can kind of use what I know, and that's the savant part that I'm talking about. Is like I'm I can kind of put two and two together, be like, oh, this is how they react to this. Well, I know how these animals react, and so I'm learning in that sense.
Exactly. Perfect. And Hollis, what are you doing?
I'm sitting in the library watching Jim, and I pull out a cigarette. There's one moment where I pull out a cigarette and I go to strike a match, and then I look at all the dry books around. And then I reluctantly stick the cigarette back in my pocket.
Good thing.
And say, "You learning anything, Jim?"
Actually, I'm doing quite well, thanks, Hollis. Are you going to the kitchen? I could sure use a bite if you're going that way.
Do I look like I'm going anywhere? And I push myself up. Can't smoke in here anyway. And then I make my way to the kitchen.
And as you're walking to the kitchen, Gregor is walking towards you, and he's like taking up the whole hallway. And he sort of stops. Oh, Baker, where are you going?
Going to the kitchen. You want something?
Yeah. And he turns around and he begins walking towards the kitchen as well. And he ducks into the kitchen. He's like, do you think this ship has meat? And he opens the fridge and he kind of bends down. And he's like, ah! And he grabs a big fat sausage. This is sausage. Would you like one?
Yeah. Yeah. That sausage
Slaps it down on the counter and he grabs a butcher's knife and he starts hacking at it. Baker, where are you from? I feel like I recognize you. And he hands you a piece of dry sausage.
Well, sir, I'm from West Virginia. Where are you from? Alabama?
Very funny. There is lots I learned since coming to America. The people are very different. The way they treat people of your skin color is not very fair. They're very mean to you, and I don't understand it. He takes another bite of meat.
I didn't know it was different anywhere else. What's it like in Russia?
To be honest, I have not been back in Russia for many a year. You could say I am, what's the word, outlaw, not wanted, escaped from prison. Is that the way? That's probably the best way to put it.
Escaped from prison?
Yeah. See, in Russia, and he slaps down the meat. In Russia, when you take a dynamite and you blow a building for protest, they think it is something bigger than it is. But I promise you, no one died that didn't deserve it.
And how'd you escape?
Gregor is big and strong, but surprisingly nimble. And he flicks out that stick of dynamite and tosses it in the air, and it lands back between his fingers almost without him moving. Where is your friend? I'm going to speak to him. Enjoy. And he slaps you on the back and exits the kitchen. And Alex, as you're waiting in the library, Sally kind of walks over and places a book in front of you.
What's this?
And she kind of says, "Oh well, I thought you might like this. It's a book called when was Martin Rattler made? Martin Rattler, maybe.
I don't know. That's what the book's called.
1858. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. This is a book called Martin Rattler, and she kind of knows that you can't read, but I don't think she is like aware of it just yet. Or that that she knows type thing, because like Hollis told her.
Yeah.
And she says, this book, and she sits down next to you and says, is about a boy who goes on an adventure in Brazil. And he's a bit of a mischievous young lad, but he fights pirates and he survives a shipwreck. And I think you might like it a lot. It's an adventure-filled book, and I feel like on an adventure like this.
And I pick up the book. I'm like, wow, this is great. This is gonna be a really good read. Thanks, Sally. Maybe we could read it together.
I was thinking actually maybe I could read it to you.
Really? You do that for me? I mean that would be awfully nice to read this book together.
I think it could be very nice. And she puts her hand over the book and says, "And Martin Rattler is one of my favorite books of all time, and I'd be excited to share it with you." And
Thanks, Alan.
as Gregor begins walking out of the kitchen, he kind of stops in the doorway. What?
I was in prison. Oh, what were you gonna say?
No, that's what I noticed. You had something to say.
Nah, I was in prison too.
Really? For what?
Well, you find that hard to believe.
Well, no offense, but you don't look like Gregor.
You ever heard of the West Virginia Wreckers?
No.
It's a gang. A gang in West Virginia. And ever since I was just a young boy, I got roped into a bad crowd. Learned how to fight, learned how to shoot, learned how to take control of an entire street corner. And in about 10 years, I never got caught. You ever heard of the 88th Infantry?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, they served over in World War, well, the war that's going on right now.
Why are you calling it World War One? Do you know something?
Pardon me, slip of the tongue. It's a dream I had once. A guy with a very thin mustache. So I was serving. And because I was a part of the West Virginia Wreckers, I knew my way around a gun. I knew my way around combat. And so war wasn't scary for me. War wasn't hard. It just took its toll. And I did some amazing things. Some very amazing things on the battlefield. I should have got a medal, but my officer didn't think so.
What is this?
Well, he thought that the color of my skin was a problem. It didn't go along with acknowledgement, appraisement. So I didn't get no medal. I didn't like his attitude, so I showed him so with my fist. You ever heard of a dishonorable discharge?
I think I know what this means.
Yeah. That's how I ended up in prison. By punching some entitled white dumbass in the face. Didn't even make his nose bleed.
I think you and I have a lot in common, Baker. And he walks over and he shakes your hand. Ooh. This is going to be a fun journey together. And he takes another bite of sausage and exits the kitchen. And we are going to stop there for the mid-game post. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen. This is the part of the game where we stop the action and jump over the Facebook group where we ask you a question about the game so far. And if you answer correctly, you get a chance to win some experience points. How's everybody liking the game so far?
Woo! I'm enjoying it, I gotta say.
Great atmosphere.
Yeah, good. This is very much inspired by all those sort of adventure movies and stuff like that. So hopefully you like it, because I love those. So, ladies and gentlemen, what question should we ask, eh? We're Canadian, eh? Look at all these people talking about it. This is... Justin posted what I wrote in the comments, and they're like, Justin's the best. Justin rocks, always and forever. It's why I'm Team Blue, says Paul. And just for the record, I'm the one that sent that to them, so you should have been on Team Red. Man, Team Red.
What's this?
No, in the chat. It's just funny.
It is funny.
On the Discord?
Yeah.
I missed it.
It's true, though. All of it's true.
All of it is true. The Justin stuff is the best. It's true. So yeah, we're going to jump over to the Facebook group right now. There's been 3 people that have joined since we started.
Yeah, who do we have? We got
Maya Canavan.
Maya.
Who has yet to say why she's here.
If you're there, Maya.
Let us know.
That
We want to know.
that is it's Randall's sister. She's working till 11.
Oh, no way. Oh, so he added
Yeah.
her.
No, I think she probably did it maybe from her phone.
Oh, she's my
But-
sister. There we go. Yeah, cool. But she works until 11.
Liam's sister. Liam's sister.
Yeah, perfect.
Did I say Mike? Whatever.
No, you said Liam, I think.
Okay.
And we got Arturo K-Suit, who joined us from Numenera. And we just got a new person, Marvin Tanner.
Marvin Tanner.
Good old YouTube. Watched all your vids and working late in the UK so I can catch some of the stream. Hey, all. This is working late tonight, so you can watch it right now. So well done, Marvin, for joining us at the perfect time, because now you get to be shouted out, too.
Woo-hoo! This is great!
Woo!
I always love people who join the Facebook group during the stream.
Me too.
I know, me too.
Because
And
then
if
we get
you
to mention them.
if you didn't join during the stream, what you should do is quit the Facebook
Quit
group
and then join. Don't do that,
and
please.
then we join.
Don't do that.
Just everybody
Not
do
only
that.
would it be sad, it would just be like a flood of people joining during the, and it'd be like, oh,
Yeah,
fuck,
think of how
fuck.
many times. Think of how many times you'd have to say welcome, welcome, welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Oh, hey, welcome to the stream.
Yeah.
Okay, so the mid-game post. This is the point where we ask you guys a question. What should the question be?
And the question then, so if you're first joining us for the first time, the mid-game post, we ask a question, you answer on Facebook, then we roll a die for the number of people that answer correctly, and if it lands on your number, then you win XP that you can spend in one of our games, either in the future or maybe tonight. Oh,
Or in the
P.S.
past.
I wanted to share this. I bought
Hey,
a mouse pad,
nice.
and I bought a T-shirt and a baby onesie.
I
Is that from Zaz?
That's from Zazzle, and it's really good quality. It's like decent, you know.
It's really
really
good
good quality.
Decent.
It's like the rubber. It's like the rubber one. It's like
Well,
nice
here's-
quality.
classic 90s.
Here's what's really funny. I do Reddit Secret Santa every year, and my Secret Santa this year got me a mouse pad as well, but with
That's hilarious.
the old logo.
Oh, but did they know
That, it
that you were
changed.
part of the Invictus?
They must have.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because if they didn't, that would be super hilarious.
Could you imagine? It's
Like,
hey,
it's my- this
I'm a fan of
guys
the
are really
stream. No, they knew. Actually, they got me this, and they got me a apron.
Oh,
Because they watched
AM radio?
the Invictus stream, and they watched the We Make Shit videos, and they were like, "Oh, love your We Make Shit videos, so I got you this," and it's a Doom apron,
That's
like
great.
my favorite video game. It's the
That's
cover
hilarious.
of Doom, which I fucking love. It's that awesome print where he's like, fighting like this, and the demons are all grabbing him.
That's so awesome. That's a Secret Santa just through Reddit.
Yeah, man, I've done that Secret Santa for 5 years.
That's beautiful.
Every year I do it. It's lovely. I highly recommend
It's
it.
a very that's a thoughtful gift.
It is very thoughtful. I've had some stinkers, but I've had some really amazing gifts.
some
That
stinkers.
I have.
I've had some stinkers too, and I've never.
I had
done
one
the
gift that
exchange.
was. I had one gift that was. Actually, it wasn't bad. It just was very. It was just like a pound of toffee. It's like a pound of it, which is cool. But it was like, you don't even know. You don't even know if I like toffee. And I didn't.
a pound of toffee.
All right,
It's
mid-game
true.
post. Let's ask the question: what is Seymour Chapman from?
Oh.
Anybody know that?
I think I
Yeah.
know that.
I know.
No.
There were some comments. There were some comments at the beginning.
Okay, then no, that's not fair. Never mind. I don't know. What's a good question?
That is a good question.
I'm down with that. Yeah, and we can just roll a d20 from people who know.
All right. I changed his voice so he was more serious.
Yes, indeed.
Also, this is about 5 years before he comes into to the picture, so I kind
Which
of
is very
thought
interesting.
maybe he leaves the island a bit crazy.
Yeah. Sanity, not sanitary rolls. That's different.
The original Call of Cthulhu, says Megan Dawn, who is abso-fucking-lutely correct. Josh Chapman says Coldfinger. Sorry, buddy. Although he could have been, I don't really know. But Z is correct. John's correct. John, you got a weird profile picture. What is that? Is it just a fat dude? God, I hope that's not you. No, it's not you. I know it's not you. That'd be so mean, though. Who's that? Some
God,
fat
I
dude.
hope
It's
that's
like,
not
it's
you.
me. Who is this? It's like a movie still. I hope. No, that's not. What is that? Who is that? Tell me who that is, John.
What's what?
His profile picture. Call of Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu. He was flagged down by Justin's character during Call of Cthulhu when they were exploring the hills outside Arkham. Actually, he appeared twice in Call of Cthulhu. I'm pretty sure. He was at the party and he was
Yes.
flagged down. So you are correct, Michael, but that's only one of two.
He was the comic relief in
The
Call
movie
of Cthulhu.
Joystick. Okay, good. He was one of many comic reliefs. Lots of people got this right. Perfect. Okay, so how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'll roll a 1d8.
Oh, there's one more person answering.
Too late. Where's my dice? Quickly, I gotta roll. Rolled.
Rolling, rolling,
1,
rolling.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. John Regan, you win most valuable post.
Post.
Johnny R.
Oh shit, Kellen just did a whole thing. Just sit right back and you hear a tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port. What is that supposed to be?
It's the Gilligan's Island. You're singing
Oh.
it like
Just sit
you're
right back and
singing it
you,
like Fresh Prince.
That's all right, right?
Just sit right back and you'll hear of a
tale of a fateful trip that started from this tropic port aboard this mighty ship. James was loving animals, man, and Hollis brave and sure. 8 passengers set sail that day for a mysterious island tour. A mysterious island tour. The weather started getting rough, the mighty ship was tossed. If not for the courage of the fearless crew, the library would be lost. The library would be lost.
Lost.
The ship set ground on the shore.
You gotta go
of
up a
this
tone.
uncharted
The
tropic
ship's
coil.
at ground.
Fair enough. The ship set ground on the shore of this uncharted tropic isle with Jonathan and Sally too. The Gregor man and his bombs. Eric Stanton, Jones Kaufman, and Cretan Mills here on Skeleton Key. Now this is why I should have said the thing. Well done, Kellen. That was pretty fucking hilarious. I totally thought that was like, now just sit right back and I'll hear a tale. What the fuck is that? That's Fresh Prince Bel-Air. How does that start off? Well,
West
here is the
Philadelphia.
story.
Oh,
All
and
about how
raised.
my life got flipped, isn't it? Yeah.
In West Philadelphia, born and raised.
No, that's the
Like,
second. It
that's the
starts
second?
off with the now. Oh, fuck! It's like
This
This
is
is
the
the
story
story
all about how my life got
flipped,
twisted,
turned
turned upside down.
That's
Now,
right.
I'd like to take
so
a
I wasn't
minute to
totally
sit
off
right
because
there.
it's like similar. I was totally off. Anyway, Seymour Chapman is correct. Although the first person to answer really should get it because Megan didn't get it. Can I just say, Megan, because I know you're watching this, awesome. You joined us so long ago, and then I think you said you had to work or something like that, but you've come back a lot lately, and I love it. It's so great to see you around again. It really makes me happy when people come back. I wonder if I can find out how long ago you joined. That's not creepy. No, but you know what I mean? Like October 3rd, 2016. So you've been here for like over a year, right?
Over a year and a half.
Long time. And I remember when you joined because you were vocal, and then you had to step back. And I love that you're back, Megan. Thank you so much for hanging out. And you hang out in spooky streams, which is like the best. Everyone that joins the group is awesome, but the spooky stream people are like just a little bit more awesome because you guys hang out with me and like chat. You guys get they knew about this game, by the way.
Because you talked about it.
The spooky stream people knew that this is what I was doing. That's what the spooky stream is. Wow. You get the inside.
I should watch the spooky stream so I know what the heck's going on.
There's no benefit whatsoever for you. It's only for people that like me.
Okay.
It's only for people that like me.
Gotcha. You don't want me going on there and just heckling?
You can heckle me all you want. You're gonna lose the heckle battle though.
Heckle battle?
I will Jekyll the fuck out of your heckle.
Heckle battle.
Thanks. I'm so happy to be able to hang around more.
All
right. Should we finish this game?
Yeah.
Cool.
Or not, but we should continue.
Perfect. So,
The end.
without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, with the continuation of the Skeleton's Key, the Maiden Expedition. You are deep in a slumber in your bunk. It's been a week of sailing across the ocean. And you hear the blowhorn and the captain's voice rings through the speaker system. We have arrived at the Skeleton Key. And you wake up from your slumber. Everyone report to the top deck.
Hey, Jim, you awake? Jim?
Yeah. Are we there yet? Are we there yet, Hollis?
We're supposed to report up top.
Sorry. I must have fallen asleep there. Oh, I guess it was nighttime. What day? Oh, I'm so confused right now. I had the weirdest dream. I dreamed that we were on the island, but all the animals, they were little tiny things, and there were little tiny people too. Well, let's go. And I put on my pants and I pull my suspenders up and I throw my jacket on.
Look under your bed.
What? Did you bring me something, Hollis? And I look under my bed.
And you see some nice combat boots there, sitting next to a pair of wooden clogs.
Hollis, I thought you'd forgotten. Thank you so much. And I put the boots on and I strap them tight. Oh my God, they fit so well. And I give him this big hug around his waist and then just squeeze him as tight as possible.
All expedition crew, please report to the top deck.
Yeah, we gotta
Okay,
go.
come on. And I run out of the room and I fling the door open. The light from the deck floods in.
It's like a kid on Christmas. I follow him out.
And you exit and you see a bunch of sort of, we'll call them red shirts, who also occupy the ship.
Red shirts?
Red shirts, yeah. Just sort of like
You
miscellaneous.
mean like Lego men?
People.
Like miscellaneous people. that-
Lego men
Regular-
red shirts?
Regular smiley Lego people.
more like Star Trek red shirts, which are like the people in the
Oh,
original
okay,
series that
right.
would, like, die, the Expendables. And they sort of walk around and they're kind of bustling about the ship. And as you exit the hall, people are pushing past you, carrying various things. And there's a bustle and excitement about the ship, and you see it on everyone's faces. And as you step out, you see Eric Stanton walking down the hall towards you. You guys ready to do this fucking thing?
Get me a shotgun, I will be.
Yeah, you and me both. Well, didn't you prep your locker? And again, over the past week, you've been sort of going about the ship, and you each have lockers right before the top deck, and you walk to that room, and each of your lockers are ready with your supplies and things like that. And you tested and prepped your shotgun, and everything that you need to do to prepare for the expedition has been ready.
And I reach to my locker, and in my jacket pocket, I stuff this now filled book, or half-filled diary that's got sketches and more notes than I could ever imagine, thanks to the help of Sally, about just different animals. And my locker next to Sally, I give Sally a smile. Thanks again for all your help. I think we're going to be really prepared going on this expedition here.
She puts her hand on top of your hand and sort of locks eyes with you and says, "I'm really glad I met you, Jim." And she kind of coyly walks away as she slings her bag over her shoulder and sort of winks at you in the doorway, and then exits out to the top deck.
And as she exits the room, I throw my back against the locker. Oh, did you see that, Hollis?
See what?
Oh, I think she likes me.
I told you that already, didn't I? Where's that coffee? I need some coffee.
Oh, and I exit the room.
And you do, and you see, as you exit the room, you're greeted with the sea air, and what you've seen of an endless ocean for the past few days is now a brightly lit morning day as the sun is just coming up over the horizon. And it's piercing and reflecting off the beautiful, pristine waters of the Pacific as the wind brushes over your hair, and you step out holding your hat towards the top deck of the ship. Everyone is now kind of clamoring to the front, and you sort of move past people and head up to the bow, and there you see it. Maybe a fair distance away, up to where the ship is heading, you see this mountain of mist, just this impassable, impenetrable wall of unseeing murkiness. And it's white, it's wispy, it's almost like a cloud. And people, some of them, begin sort of praying as if it's religious in its power. And as you approach the bow, Hollis steps out as well, and you get the same feeling, Hollis, this sort of overwhelming sense of, well, I don't know, actually, how do you feel about that?
I feel a little bit like the people that are praying. I feel a bit like this is something I've never seen before. This is something of eerie beauty. And I lower my hat and mumble a few words to the Lord.
And slowly, as you approach the edge of the mist, the engine begins to draw back. And people kind of look around. And again, they're a bustle bringing the things up from below. And Jonathan Witt steps out from the prep area and walks towards you two. All right, everything good with you boys?
Ready when you are. Got my equipment, I say as I cock the shotgun.
Right. Well, I've just spoken to the captain. It seems like there's still a great deal, not a great deal, but a small voyage through the mist before stopping at the reef. Apparently, beyond this, there is a small jettison, so we will be disembarking from the ship within the mist. So, be on guard, he says as he sort of steps back
Inside
towards.
Wow, it's. I turned to Hollis. It's hard. It's hard to believe that it's exactly like Chapman said. It's literally covered in mist. I can hardly believe it. How is it so misty?
Well, the man got this part right. Makes me wonder what else he got right too.
And you think that sorry, go ahead.
Looking at the misty island, is it a mist tall? Like, can you tell that it's a mountainous island, like a volcanic island maybe, or is it a low mist, like a flat island?
You can't find just yet, but the mist goes all the way up to the clouds. It's almost like a cyclone of mist.
Okay.
It's bizarre in the way it exists.
That answers my questions. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't. You can't tell it's a mountain. It just sort of hides it.
Right.
You
I understand.
Feel the engine cut into a low gurgle almost. And slowly a calm falls over the crowd, which is now sort of perched on the bow of the ship, as you just cut into it. And slowly this massive wall, as all of the wide-eyed people look up again, some continue praying, some mumbling under their breath. The captain in his glass sort of encasing on the steamship behind you at the top sort of is sitting and watching as the nose slowly drifts into the mist, and like a thick wall you can feel it wash over you. And as you're standing on the deck, you can barely see your hand in front of your own face. It's so thick. And the engine completely cuts.
And the sound around us is almost, because of the mist, it doesn't bounce. So it's very, right?
Exactly.
Like the sound of, there's no echo anymore. There's no echo in the air.
There's nothing.
Hollis. Hollis, can you hear me, Hollis? And for a moment, just a fleeting moment, I get totally terrified, like I'm all alone, standing on the bow of the ship.
It flashes back to your childhood. There was a moment very similar to your childhood. Do you remember?
That's right. When my daddy had gone already, and it was only my mama and me, and I was in the bathtub, and mom was helping me, and then she got up and left, and she didn't come back for a very long time. And I got out of the bath and I wandered through the house, and she didn't come back for a day. And I always wondered to myself, I got really scared and I didn't know what to do. And I wandered out to the street in my total buck nakedness, and it was like there was nobody around. Until eventually someone did come out and told me to get back inside because I was stark naked on the street. But that was scary.
And you remember that as you sort of begin sort of panicking a bit. And Hollis, you hear...
Hollis?
Hollis, you hear
Hollis?
Jim sort of calling out your name.
And Jim, you feel a hand, a big hand, way down on your shoulder. It says, I got you, Jim.
Thank you, Hollis.
You hear the propellers reverse. As you still feel the ship sort of coast just a bit. And then all of a sudden, as if on a sandy beach, it slows to a stop. Just with a bit of resistance. In fact, as it stops completely, there's a slight tug back.
Oh, we've stopped. We must be on... We must be at the coral's edge, at the reef's edge.
What do we do now? Take one of the escape boats?
You hear a loud ka-chunk as massive floodlights, boom, turn on, illuminating the large deck in the bow of the ship. And it's once again alive with the bustle. While the mist is so thick, large fans begin spinning, blowing the mist so at least it clears the deck area. Again, they prepared for this. Jonathan Witt steps out from what you perceive was the captain's area, climbing down a small ladder, and walks up to you and says, all right, well, this is as far as it goes. Beyond this is the shrapnel reef. And as he's talking, Sally, Eric, and Gregor step up, as well as Cretan Mills, the small accountant-like man who is sort of the head of Chapman. And he kind of peeks up from behind Jonathan. He says, very well. The idea here is we're loading the boats in from either side. Gregor is already sort of helping one people as he's half listening. Get in the water. And you six have, over the week, become sort of the figureheads of your departments. And you've known a few of the miscellaneous crew, and you've already been able to naturally fall into leadership roles, as each of you six have sort of been naturally meant to be. And Jonathan kind of pulls out a small piece of paper and says, now, we expect that the shrapnel reef lasts, it seems like it could be about a mile out. So it's going to be fair amount of rowing. Now, because of the distance, it's important that we stay navigational. As everyone, you have the compass, and each of you was given a compass as well as part of your prep, and you each pull it out, and you see that it's pointing true north. Now, we're approaching to the south side of the island, so remember to be navigating constantly. These boats are going to be pretty full, so stay on top of it and all that. Any questions?
You say we're approaching the south side of the island?
Yes.
All right.
And as Witt's talking, I'm ordering some of the red shirts around. Now make sure those anti-venoms get on there. And I'm pointing to a small crate of tinkling glass jars, which are filled with snake anti-venoms. And
nice.
And I'm also pointing at other various items, and I'm doing exactly like you just described, and I'm pointing out all the various things that need to go on the boat. And make sure you get those machetes, because we don't want snakes around the bottom of the tents. Now you hear? So and put those in there. That's right. And I'm pointing at one of the red shirts,
and you're moving about, and
much
it's
a
sort of
leadership role.
becoming active, but there's sort of a quietness that's falling over the work that's being done, just sort of an uneasiness, some eager, some cautious. And as the boats are lowered into the water and you're standing near the side and each of your respective boats are being filled up, you're ready to enter them. There's a small ladder descending into each of the boats.
One for each of us?
Yeah.
I climb into the one with Hollis.
Okay.
You mean a boat each, or just there's several boats going?
There's several boats, but you sort of, there's one if you wanted to take each one separately, or you could all take one. Gregor naturally is taking one on his own because he sort of created this small crew of the Europeans, and Mills is actually also with Eric and Sally, so he's also teamed up. But
might as well go together.
And I kind of, out of the corner of my eye, I see Sally, and she sees me, and I get on the boat with Hollis, and I kind of give a nod like this, and she does the same thing with a nod like that.
But she sort of winks at you and stops, and she comes out and begins walking across the deck towards your boat. And as you're
come on, Sally, you'll be safe with us on our boat. We've got Hollis.
And you begin descending into it, the thick mist sort of again surrounding the boat. And as you get down to the boat, you look up at the deck, high above you, mist, a sheer thick wall of mist to your left. And you kind of just see the lights illuminating ahead and the steel siding of the ship as it sits hulking and massive above you.
And the quiet slosh of water between the boat and the dinghy.
Well, that's the thing, and it's very quiet. And give me a perception roll. Or actually, spot hidden, Hollis, because I'm thinking you're already in the boat, correct?
Yep.
Spot hidden.
All right. Let's see what I can do.
What's your spot hidden?
30. Yours?
Ooh, 35.
Let's see. No dice.
Okay, so you're sitting in the boat, sort of minding your own business, maybe polishing your shotgun.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Sorry.
no, it's okay. And,
Actual shotgun.
As Sally sort of, you kind of hear the clip clop of Sally's feet across the deck, and the deck is still alive with movement. You're sitting in one boat. There's another boat, maybe 5 feet behind you, closer to the back of the ship, closer to the stern. And the third boat on this side, again 3 on each side, is also being filled. And as you sort of are waiting for Sally's head to appear, you hear something. And you look over at the last boat, and it almost feels like a sound, like a rubbing, like someone's pulling a chain made of like a I guess a rope chain almost out of the water.
Oh. I'm gonna take a look back and try and see if I can see what's going on. Do I hear this? Because I'm kind of halfway down the ladder, right?
Yes, you do hear it, and now Hollis does too. You just didn't hear anything in advance of that.
Okay, so I'm gonna roll for perception, I guess, eh?
Spot hidden, yeah.
Yeah.
Spot hidden?
Yeah.
Was spot hidden? Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't. I fail.
No. So you look in the direction, and actually you see a few other crewmen sort of looking in that direction too, as this kind of comes out. And you see a few, you hear a murmur. And from the other side of the boat, you hear, "Ah!" And it's sort of...
Did you hear that, Hollis?
All three of you on this, all three of the boats sort of each turn, all looking for somebody to sort of take an initiative of something. As you see Sally's head sort of peek out the side, looking down at the boat below. And she sort of has a perplexed look at her. You stand up, Hollis.
The boat, where did we hear that from? From the deck of the main ship or from the boat?
It sounded like it was on the far side of the ship.
What's going on, Sally?
And she sort of leans over and says, "I don't know. It sounded like someone from the other side was yelling. Let me check." And she sort of disappears. And you hear her again walking across the deck.
I start to climb back up the ladder.
You hear another scream from the far side, and you begin to ascend the ladder. And as you begin climbing, you look at the other 2 boats, and you see one man sort of leaning over the edge of the farthest boat, and he's sort of splashing around in the water a little bit on your side.
And I yell down, "What are you doing down there?"
And everyone is sort of looking to each other, trying to understand what the heck's going on. And Hollis, you're standing up in the wooden boat, sort of, and it's rocking side to side. And James, you're on the thing. And from your vantage point, you both sort of look at this man sort of turned over in the water. And as he reels back, you see a large tentacle wrapped around his throat, as his face is bright blue and blackened veins are pulsating from his face, just the dark blueness of him choking. And the man in the boat, only one other, as the others are being filled in, grabs a paddle and begins whacking the tentacle. And all of a sudden, as the tentacle unwraps and recoils, 6 tentacles jut up through the water on the left side through the mist and attach themselves onto the boat. And in a sea of activeness, the water becomes splashing up. The boat reaches and rings as it begins bending, and you hear Sally scream. The other 2 boats are maddening as the 2 of you are standing up. A large tentacle, James, slaps right beside you and wraps around the handle that you're just about to grab into. And Hollis, a thick tentacle about this thick, is now blocking your path as it begins tightening and contracting. The smell of the like sort of the salt water directly in front of you.
I holler down, Hollis! And I let go of the rope ladder that I'm hanging onto, and I drop to the boat.
When
Which
you
I'm not
smash
very
into
far.
the wooden boat, and it doesn't hurt you, but you rock it, and Hollis, you sort of go flying forward a little bit as the waves are now unpredictable with the creature sailing up, and screams are now echoing through. You hear gunfire, you hear screams, you feel the wet of blood from another ship as a man misfires at a tentacle and hits another man as the blood sort of dots on your face as you're lying on your back, James.
Is it an engine or is it a rowboat?
An engine? Sorry?
Is
it
there
an
like
engine boat?
No, they're rowboats.
they're rowboats? Okay.
Yeah.
We gotta get moving.
Yeah, get up! And I grab Jim and I pull him up to the oars.
And I grab one. Do you grab one, or should I just grab both?
You grab both and get us the hell out of here.
And I start rowing. Sally, go to the front of the ship if you can hear me. And I start rowing as fast as possible towards the front of the ship, towards the reef.
And you do, and the large tentacle is sort of tightening in and coming down as you're trying to quickly paddle out. Give me a strength roll.
So if the tentacle's still there, I'm going to fire at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's sort of compulsively just going. If he succeeds, let's see.
See, my strength
It's at the
is...
top.
Oh, I beat it.
Perfect.
Oh,
So-
actually, I hit... It's 85, 42, and 17. I hit a 42.
Yeah, so you hard success. So you grab the
Excellent.
paddles with vigor and begin frantically paddling as the tentacle tightens, and you just get past its grip as you see the other boat behind you flip. The men screaming as you see thin tentacles whip out of the ground and wrap around their feet and fling them off into the air.
Oh my
The
God.
air is alive with activity as people are screaming, guns are firing. Again, you see bodies falling overboard and splashing into the water before you. As you begin rowing, you reach towards the front of the ship and you see Sally on the top deck.
I get to the front of the boat and see her and aim the boat for underneath, and I yelled, "Jump, Sally!"
And you see Sally, and she's standing, and she's very, very nervous. Give me a persuasion roll or some sort of convincing roll.
My persuade sucks.
Or something you want to tell her to jump from the top deck.
Jump?
I can see Jim stuttering at the front of the boat, and I'm swerving around looking for more tentacles coming out. And I look up at Sally, and anger fills me, and I say, "Damn it, Sally, get in the goddamn boat!"
Doesn't
And
matter
gonna
because
roll
because
intimidation.
Jim Jones did a 4 though.
I
Oh,
did.
really?
All
And
you
I was
have to
gonna
do.
use. I was going to use intimidate.
You're
So
good.
and
Well,
I,
you don't have
yeah.
to because okay, we do however you want.
And so I say, yeah, it's shaking down the ship. And with Hollis and I, it intimidates her enough that she just jumps.
Okay, and she looks back and jumps. And I'm going to do a dexterity roll for her. And oh, wait, let me do that again. Oh, success. That would have been fun. She jumps. I just had this image of her being like out of midair and just like smashed against the ship and like dropped and dead. But I'm a fair person, and she rolled well under. And she jumps down as you see a tentacle swing by and slap against the bow of the ship, but just barely miss her. And she lands with a thud into the wooden rowboat, which knocks it back and forth. But you continue on, the three of you. As you see the tentacles wrap around the ship, as you reach out farther past the bow, you do see that there are still a bunch of workmen on board hacking and slashing at the tentacles as they begin falling off, and the ship sort of becomes buoyant again. And it does seem like they're beating it back, but the mist begins encapsulating it as you move further and further away from it, and the fate of the ship you leave behind is unknown as you move towards the island. You do see other ships leaving. It seems like, at least before the mist set in, you saw 6 heading the direction that you were heading, so you're more than definitely not alone.
Hollis, keep us on track. We got to hit the south side of the island, or hit the island at all. I'll tell you, I've never seen a squid that size in my life. I've read about them, but there's no way I ever believed they would actually be existing.
Yeah. Sally, how are you with the compass?
And she kind of lifts her arm up, and you can see it's badly damaged. Her shirt's actually torn, and she says, "I'm good. I can do it. Are
you okay there? Are you bleeding?"
No, not bleeding. Just badly bruised." And she pulls at the compass and sort of course corrects you a little bit and says, "It's this way."
Good.
And I yell at Hollis, just keep an eye on the water, and if you start to see bubbles or any shadows, fire, and don't even ask questions.
All right, that's a good idea, Jim, but I think this is a good time for us to keep our voices down now.
Agreed. And at this point, it's like eerily quiet.
It is
from
once
the mist.
Again. Yeah. And you, as you are rowing through, the actual rows begin hitting on something on the ground, and you lean over and you see only maybe 2 inches from the surface. Luckily, there's only 3 of you in this boat, because any more and you would not be able to make over the shrapnel reef. It looks like these sharp, spindly spikes just sticking out, and you hear a few boats grind to a halt in the mist, but luckily you can move, and you just hear that sort of as you sort of make your way across this reef silently. The mist clings to the top of the water, almost like a creature in itself, as it slowly sort of moves across the waves.
Oh my God. I wouldn't want to fall into that reef. I look as I say as I look down at the shrapnel reef.
Yeah.
Looks like it would have no problem cutting your foot or leg or skin.
Yeah, you got that right.
You continue on as Sally course corrects you a few times, and you feel this sense of warmth as you see the mist begin to light up. And row by row, you each cautiously share a look as you exit the mist, and you enter the Skeleton Key, surrounded by a thick wall of mist, and yet the sun shines straight through it like a cyclone. You see a massive island, a huge mountain in the center, large rocks outlying it as almost smaller islands. The island is bigger than any island you've ever been to as you begin in awe continuing towards it. The shrapnel reef fades away to a deep, dark plummet as you look over, and a sandy beach beautifully lit in the sun. You see the tropical trees. There are no birds. There's almost no wind as you approach the beach, and as you cut through the mist and are now into the open, well-seeing sun, you see at least 6 other boats dot through the mist as well. Some scattered behind, obviously, but a great deal of them carrying a large number of supplies. In fact, 1 or 2 people that you saw fighting the tentacle beast are now coming through as well. And after a short row, you slide across the sandy shore of the Skeleton Key. Shh.
We're on land.
Good job.
It's hard to believe. Good job to you too, Hollis. And you too, Sally. Are you okay? Are you hurt?
She looks like she's a little under the weather. Here, help me with her.
Looks
And
like
she
she's
sort of is like, and she sort of just climbs up on the sand and sort of falls over.
All right. We're supposed to meet together. Let's see if we can rendezvous with everyone else.
Yeah, maybe help the others get up on shore.
That's
Sally, if you want to rest, just sit with the boat here for a minute, all
She
right?
sort of
No. You gotta come close, get onto land. Get as
And
far
she
away from the water as
climbs up
possible.
and says, I know. Just I need a second to catch my breath and to understand what the
So-
fuck we just saw.
Hollis, help me pull the boat out of the water.
Yeah, all right.
And we drag it up on shore.
You do, and over the next few minutes, one by one, the boats each wash up on the shore, and you walk over and help each one drag their own boat up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
We pull up the boat with Gregor. Is Gregor on one?
yeah, and he's like got one man over his shoulder who's like bleeding, and he kind of tosses him on the sand. You're fine. You killed beasts like good man. And he walks over to you, Hollis, and slaps you on the shoulder and slaps you. Jim says, did you see that thing? It was a monster. This is a monster island. And he walks close to the shore, the edge of the trees, and he screams, I'm coming for you, monster island. Ah! And he belts out and it echoes, and the trees sort of shake a little bit. And he turns back towards you two and says, oh, do you not feel alive?
I don't know
Gregor?
how you can maintain that enthusiasm after that.
Because, my friend, that old man was not crazy. And he walks past you. And Jonathan Witt climbs out of the same boat with Eddie. Is it Eddie?
Eric.
Eric. I thought that sounded weird.
Was it?
Eric, yeah, Eric Stanton. And he says, my God, I don't know what to make of this just yet. And he walks up past you two and he says, I'm glad you made it. It looks like all six of us did. I saw Cretan Mills be taken by that thing. I'm sorry to say I don't think he'll be making it.
Where's Chapman?
Good boy had the sense to stay on boat until we established base camp. He asked for me to send back a row team once we were here. I'll consider that, but first we need to understand exactly where we are. Where's Sally? And he looks over, and Sally is kind of lying on the beach, kind of nursing her arm a little bit.
She's been injured. We should go back and reconvene there, so we can check on her.
Yes, very good. Come. And he kind of orders a few of the men to unload some of the goods and pile them, and the six of you sort of convene over Sally. And Eric sort of stumbles behind. Jesus fucking Christ. Did you see that fucking thing, Jim?
Did I? I couldn't have missed it. What the hell do you think I saw? That there was a giant squid. Now, I've read a lot about them, and I can tell you the one thing that pisses them off the most is when you encroach on their territory, and one of the only things that'll keep them away is if you stab them right in the eye. Fortunately, I couldn't see any eyes, but I don't know. I don't know what else to do about that.
Hopefully it's dead. I saw them hacking at the thing. I don't know. And
It's not dead.
Jonathan takes a long drink from his canteen, and he says, right. Listen, the point of this expedition was to understand exactly what was on this island, and obviously Chapman was not completely mad. Whatever attacked that boat was much larger than we had anticipated, but that's exactly why we're here, and that's exactly what we're hired to do. And Gregor says, exactly! That is why I'm not nervous, Hollis. This is why I came. Right, Gregor. Look, the important thing right now is to set up a base camp right here on the beach so that we have a clear shot of the ship should we need to evacuate.
There was supposed to be a head of the base camp, Jones Kaufman, is that right?
Yes, Kaufman, he's in one of the other ships, the ones that are arriving still. And he looks over and he kind of points. And you do see a sort of a well-built man, sort of a military cut, unloading a ship and sort of ordering people as well.
Well, it looks like the six of us made it, at least. You know, there's you and me, Hollis, and and Sally and Eric. Well, we all made it, and of course Gregor and the captain here. What's your name? Jonathan.
Jonathan, I'm the expedition leader.
That's
The
right.
captain's still in the ship.
It's sort of like fate, the fact that we made it here. Gregor, I only have one request, and that is, if I have to train or maintain the animals, the wildlife on this island, I'd prefer to do it as we come upon them and not bring them to us. So maybe we could just keep the screaming and yelling down to a minimal.
Very good, Jim. Very good. And he begins walking towards the large supplies, and he starts barking orders at the men. And Jonathan turns to the two of you. Right. We're going to need everyone's help. We're down a few men organizing this base camp. Why don't you two scout down the beach, and I'll look up this way with Sally. And he looks down at Sally, who's still nursing arm. Or Eric, Sally, you get yourself somewhere safe.
And so we kind of walk with Sally and help her to join the others as they set up base camp, and then continue on down to the beach. Are you okay, Hollis?
Just trying to wrap my head around what just happened.
Well, wouldn't be the first time I see wildlife go crazy like that. But I'll tell you, I don't know what we're about to encounter, and I'll be honest, all I got on me is this bullwhip and a knife. I mean, I don't even have a weapon. You're the weapons expert. Maybe you could show me what to do.
And I'm a couple paces ahead of him.
Excuse me.
And I stop. And I turn around. I walk towards him and I pull out a Colt 45 revolver. And I gesture for him to open up his hand.
Okay. And I open up my hand.
And
take hold of it.
I flip open the stock and I show him 6 bullets. That's what you get with this gun. Now, you hold it up like this. Aim straight and true. You line up these 2 markers, one at the barrel, one right at the end. All right? That's how you know you're shooting straight.
All right.
And I show him step by step how to work the gun.
And all I have to do is pull this trigger?
Something like that. You have to pull the hammer, and then you have to do this, and that, and the other. And then that's how you work a gun. And then you pull the trigger. But make sure you do not point this while it's loaded at anybody who you don't want to shoot, because accidents happen. I know that good enough.
So you're on the south side of the island. The beach obviously goes east and west, and Jonathan is naturally heading east with Eric. Are you okay heading what?
Just my comment on Discord. Canadian pretending to know guns.
Yeah, right.
Open the stock. I don't think that's it. It's the barrel.
I don't even think that's it. Yeah, whatever. I don't know.
Do you want to head west, or do you want to fight Jonathan on it and head east?
Let's go west.
No, wherever he suggested we go.
Okay, so the beach is long, well lit. The sun is sort of at its peak right now.
But I imagine still poking through mist.
Yes, sorry, it is, I guess, because it's only been a few hours since sunrise.
Well, no, because the whole island is shrouded. Anyways, sorry, continue.
No, the island is like a empty.
It's like the eye of a storm.
Like the eye of a storm, where it sort of heads up to the clouds and then spreads out. But above it is just the sky, so the sun peeks in pretty well.
Okay, cool.
The sandy beach is bizarre. It's done with very fine sand. It's not the kind of sand that you're used to, but almost thinner, more silk-like. And as you walk along it gets into your boots almost immediately. And it's much paler than any other sand that you've experienced before.
Jesus, Hollis. This is the most beautiful beach I think I've ever walked on. Mind you, I've never even walked on the beach, only the shores of the riverbanks. But this sand, I must tell you, and I reach down and I scoop up a handful and I pour it out. It is so fine. I feel like I feel like I could eat it. It's beautiful.
Well,
Trying to
don't
find the
do
best in
that,
a
Jim.
bad situation.
We got better things to eat than sand.
And to the left is the tree line, and the trees are thick and ancient. Something about them, again, seems unlike any palm trees that you've ever seen before. Something about them seems undateable almost, and the tall grass is untouched. It grows wild and free. The water that is washing up against comes almost with no tide, completely being beaten back through this series of shrapnel rock and reef. The beach is eerily calm as well as you walk down. Give me a spot hidden, both, either, or one, whatever.
Let's both do it.
Sure.
Because I was thinking about rolling.
You have such terrible spot hidden, so I'll let you both do it.
Failure.
Hey, I got a success.
Good.
Nice.
Okay. As you're walking along, you notice relatively close to the shore, or relatively close to the tree line, there are large indented circles. They sit down maybe about a foot and sort of like craters, sink a little bit at their center. But other than that, they look almost perfectly round.
Where are these?
These are
Circles?
close to the tree line, and maybe every 50 to 100 feet you'll notice one. They're not in the same manner. Some are a little smaller, some a little bigger, some less perfect, some closer to the waterfront, some closer
But they're
to the
in
tree
the
line.
sand?
Yeah.
Like circles?
Yeah, like craters almost.
Okay, thank you.
You have any idea what those might be? How? Some of them are like a foot wide, or
No, they're a foot deep. I would say they're probably about 6 feet. Some of them are 10
Jeez.
feet wide. The smallest is about 5 feet.
huh?
And
What
I
does this
stand
look
at
like
the
to
edge.
you?
I stand at the edge and I look back at Hollis and I say, I really have no clue.
Well, you can give me a
What
roll
the
for
hell?
it.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I really have no clue, but I could roll for it. And I'm going to go for I don't know.
Nature,
Natural world, I guess.
Yep.
Fail so hard.
So yeah, you look at it, but nothing. Yeah, it does seem a bit too bizarre to you.
But-
Nothing.
But I would like to walk down to the center of the crater and investigate at the bottom and start digging.
Whoa,
Because
whoa.
not like with a shovel, but just like kind of kicking around with my feet. Well, something. And I turn to Hollis. What?
You're not thinking about going down there, are you?
Well, I was, and maybe kick around, see what landed, what made this crater.
Well, hold up. Before you do, and I walk over and I find a large branch
Mm-hmm.
that has fallen onto the ground. I pick it up and I say, as a boy, I always learned you always poke something with a stick before you investigate it with your hand or your foot. And I start poking into the center of the crater.
That's
Okay.
even better than I thought.
Give me a strength roll.
Okay.
And bear in mind, he's not attached to this branch.
Oh, fail.
Oh, okay. We'll put it this way. You take the large branch and you reach out towards the center and you sort of drag it across the sand as you push it out. And it feels off. Something about
The sand or the branch?
the sand. Something about the sand feels off.
You're the animal expert, but I think I once heard of these creatures that lie in waiting under sand. They make like they dig a hole and they jump out.
Oh, you mean like a crab? Like a mud crab? Yeah, but they would never make something of this size. I mean, this would have to be a giant mud crab.
You ever seen a squid as big as one we saw back there?
No, I've only ever read of them, and I haven't even read of a giant crab like this. But do you think it's possible, Hollis? I don't know.
I don't know. My stick isn't yielding much results, though.
I'll tell you what. Maybe you've got a point. Maybe I shouldn't walk down to the middle of that. Let's just continue on down the beach. And maybe if we find a smaller one, we'll poke it with that stick. Hang on to that stick, though, Hollis.
Yeah, all right. And we do that. We continue down the beach, looking
Without
for
stepping
a
into
small
the crater.
one.
And you do see every once in a while you see these craters.
So we come across a small crater. Let's say it's only 3 feet wide.
No, I would say the smallest you find is about 5 feet wide.
Okay. Do you want to poke it? I say to Hollis as we approach this smaller looking crater.
All right. Let's try this one.
Here, why don't you give me the stick and you take out your shotgun? I mean,
Yeah, now there's a good idea.
if this is really a crab and it does jump out, I mean, we've got to watch for its pincers. And I'll tell you what, you got to aim right for its nose because that's where it's still soft. Everywhere else is going to be super hard.
You know so much about all these animals. I imagine you weren't taming mud crabs.
Well, no, but I did live on the riverbed for a while after I left home at 12 years old. And I lived on the edge of rivers, and I sailed down those rivers. And as I continue talking, and I poke the sand with using what'd you say,
Strength.
Branch.
strength?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I succeed
You succeed.
with a strength check. Yeah.
Okay. So you tap the door and the
door?
sand. You tap the sand. And
Is that
it's
Go
a
ahead.
Freudian slip.
foreshadowing?
And it has a little bit of a give on it. Slight. But something about it seems off. Almost like it's a door.
Huh. Maybe we were wrong, Hollis. Maybe there is just maybe it's a trap made by natives. Do me a favor and hold on to the end of this branch while I investigate a little closer.
If you think it's a good idea, I'll hold on to it tight.
And I hold on to the other end of the branch, and I start. And it's bamboo, so it's like a nice strong branch, not some
is
flimsy
it?
piece of. Well, it's not dry. Let's
No,
just say
that's
that.
fine. Okay.
And I start to back up slowly towards the center of the divot,
Mm-hmm.
and I poke it with my foot, with my nice new boot.
To the center of the
where
divot.
I poked with the sand. Yeah,
And you step into the actual crater.
yeah.
Okay, so the minute you step into the crater, you can feel it start to give. Almost like maybe like a trampoline a little bit.
Oh, okay.
And you're putting a lot of pressure on it. You can kind of feel it starting to bend towards its center.
And I scramble back out,
Okay.
and I say to Hollis,
Give me a dexterity roll. Alex.
I succeed. 21 out of 65.
Okay.
Nice.
You see as you step off the sand divot, you see it raise a little bit. And
Hollis,
and,
I'm really
and
not
a-
sure what-
as it sort of raises up, you see thick black legs slide out. And it sort of opens, and you realize this opens a bit like a door, almost like a trap door. And it
the
opens
whole crater?
the whole circular crater begins opening up, and you see a slit, and in the darkness you see thick black legs climb out, and you see the reflection of light against eyes. And I will give you first chance at initiative because you were very quick.
Are we talking, do I see 2 eyes or more?
Looks like more eyes.
As I step off the crater and I say to Hollis, I'm not really sure that is just a crater. And I look back. Oh, fuck.
Get back! I'm gonna fire at it.
Perfect.
Excellent. Excellent.
Without waiting, you fire at the thing right through the ground.
Right at the eyes.
Perfect. So give me a combat roll.
Okay, so this is going to be
Firearms.
Shotgun.
Yeah.
Okay. Come on. Ooh, it's a success.
Nice. So without waiting, you fire at the thing, and you hear a shrill scream as this thin sort of woven trap door splinters, and a massive black spider is revealed as it cowers back and screams and sort of scurries and goes down into a deep tunnel system beneath the sand. Somebody rolled way too many times.
That was me.
Holy.
So this was my damage. So that's 9 points of damage.
Okay. You do not kill it, but it screams and heads down into the tunnels.
Okay. You all right, Jim?
Holy fuck. I say. That right there would be what I would classify as a giant California trapdoor spider.
And as you turn and look towards the base camp, you see in the distance the movement of large black spiders on the beach. You hear screams in the distance.
Should probably get back and
Let's go.
Scare off some of these others. And as he says that, he leaves and I chase after him.
Yeah, and you
And
begin
avoid,
running.
as we're running, I say, and avoid the divots.
Avoid the divots. Don't go into the divots. Don't go into the divots.
You begin running frantically across it as you see divots behind you start opening up and spiders popping out. Some of them smaller, some of them big. And you pass one 10-foot wide divot and you begin close and you realize that the divot sort of is right up against the water. And you can kind of jump in the water or you can scoot across it.
Scoot across. I'm thinking.
Scoot across shortly after Hollis.
Go around it, rather.
Okay.
Yeah.
And meaning like you're going to go into the water.
No, not going to go into the water.
No, not the
Okay,
water. Just
perfect.
scoot the very edge.
So you begin scooting the edge of it. Everyone give me a stealth roll. Everyone. All two of you.
Come on. Yes. Hard success.
Yes.
Both successes.
And both, yeah.
Nice. So you both do scooch across quietly as you see the thing just kind of lift up for a second. This massive, thick, shell-like spider. The size of these things are massive, and the thick exoskeleton that they have would be nothing against your shotgun. Your shotgun would be nothing against it with the size of the spider. As it sinks back down, you secretly pray and continue moving. As you approach the campsite, you see men being dragged across the soft sand towards the spider holes and people firing blindly as the spiders begin filling the beach. But you notice that they're not moving past their trap holes back into the woods. They're only dragging people to their trap holes and then entering the tunnels once again. And you see Jonathan Witt with his pistol in hand pointing to the woods, pointed to you guys, said, "Run to the fucking woods!" And he begins running, and Gregor is like lighting a stick of dynamite and tossing it to a massive hole, and the whole ground shakes as a huge plume of smoke and sand fills the air, and 20 more holes open up at that time, and all these spiders begin crawling out down the beach, chasing after you as everybody begins running into the woods.
Does everybody make it kind of towards the woods?
Yeah, everybody's running towards the woods. Yeah, the people who aren't getting trapped and pulled into the trap holes are all trying to dodge, and you see people screaming. You see Sally sort of limping. She's like trying to get past, but she's still stuck on the beach.
I look at Hollis and make my way towards Sally. And I kind of, in the look in my eyes, is kind of like, I'm doing this. Join me or not. I'm not going to ask you to save your, risk your life for me. That's sort of what I say with my eyes.
And that obvious glare says it all as Jim turns around and runs towards Sally. Hollis pops another shell back into the shotgun, 2 shells, and follows after, looking along the rear and making sure nothing's following.
And the two of you hoof it towards Sally, who's fallen over, and she's kind of clutching her arm. And as you approach, you see the small trap door begin opening, and maybe a 4-foot wide spider begins slowly clambering out towards her as she looks towards you with her hand out.
I pull my bullwhip.
Nice.
From my side.
Okay.
And crack it right up against the opening trap door.
Perfect. Give me a roll.
Hopefully my aim is as good
It is
as
not.
I think.
It is
and
not.
It's not even close.
You pull your bullwhip out and you go to crack it, but it's just, you're trying to run and the sand is too soft beneath your feet. You sort of slip and it just sort of clicks in the air. And Sally turns momentarily to see the spider kind of climbing out of the hole. And Hollis.
And I jump in front of her and I fire the shotgun.
Okay, it's going to be a bit of a dive to get there, so give me a dexterity roll. She's just, because you're behind a little bit.
Okay. Dexterity is good. 15. That's an extreme success.
You fucking
Nice.
lucky guy. You jump in front of her, and because it's extreme success, I'm just going to say you fire and scare the thing back in. Show me exactly how it happens.
Yeah, I slide through the sand, and because it's so fine and so smooth, it's actually really easy to slide. And I land on my knees, and as I see this giant Hulk crawl out of the ground, as soon as the head becomes visible, I fire. And 2 of its legs kind of fly up as it pushes itself back into the hole.
And you hear a
Sand.
scream, and you hear the screams of men in the tunnels below the sand as well as the thing scuttles away. And Sally throws her arm around you, Jim, and limps up as the 3 of you begin working towards the woods.
That's right.
Or the forest, it's
And-
the jungle.
Yeah. And as we get closer to the jungle, I say, "Are you okay to walk? Are you okay to walk
She's-
there, Sally?"
Yeah, we need to go. Keep going. And she's looking back, and you see the boats, people on the boats battling, spiders away with oars as they kind of attack and start pincing the people. And they're screaming. The blood is washing in the water, and people are just frantically fighting for their lives as the woods are now moving with the bustle of people who are moving through them. And as you reach the edge of the jungle, you see the tree line stops to tall grass as people are moving through the tall grass and jutting strikes. And Jonathan, holding a machine gun, waves you over and says, "Come this way, Gregor and I and Eric. We're making camp this way. Come quickly." And you start following them, and you enter this lush green, leaving the screams and spiders behind you on the beach. And the trees sort of make way. You hear now the creatures and the animals of the woods. You look around to see massive dragonflies, and you barely have time to stop and look around as you're trying frantically to move through this, carrying Jim with you, or Jim carrying Sally with you, I should say, as the 3 of you are sort of pushing on and onward and deep into the woods. And as you reach a small clearing to catch your breath, Jonathan turns to you and says, "Was there anyone else at the beach before? Did you see anyone else to go back for?"
Oh, there was plenty of men down there fighting off, spiders in the boats even.
And you saw only maybe 3 left, and they were pretty much dying as you left.
Nobody
Going
else
back.
made it.
Going back would be suicide, sir.
People are starting to move through the trees, and you see there's still about 20 or so people left, and Jonathan's looking around. Right, okay, listen. We need to find a place to be safe. We need to move deeper inland. Obviously, the beach is occupied by those creatures. Gregor, do not use dynamite again, please. "I did what I had to do," he says, and puts it away. "But fine, I agree." And Eric's sort of trying to light a cigarette.
And I hold a match steady over his.
Thanks. And he takes a long drag and blows out a big plume of smoke and immediately fills the air with a scent.
You ain't seen combat before, have you?
Nah, not by giant fucking spiders, no. And Jonathan walks over and grabs a cigarette and pushes it and crushes it and says, No foreign scents, no smoking, no nothing. Listen. And he gets everyone's attention as he stands on a small stump. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever you've been told about this island, forget about it. Our goal now is to get back to that ship. This is not a safe place. This is not a place for scouting or exploration. This is a place to survive. We're moving inland. We're going to find a place to camp out. We're going to make our way to the west side of the island. The last I saw of those boats, they were being destroyed. There's not much hope to go back for them. Does everyone understand?
I understand. And I agree. I think we should move to the west side of the island. I don't really know what to expect. I mean, those were giant spiders. Giant spiders.
Listen,
I mean, here I was thinking the worst we might encounter were giant boars, but...
There's plenty of time to consider what we've done, but for now we need to keep moving. I didn't see those spiders heading into land, but I think if we stay here long enough and we make sense or noises, they're going to track us. Everyone, let's continue moving. And quietly everyone picks up their things and begins moving through the woods. And the leg of this journey is quiet and somber as you look around the creaking woods. The cawing monkeys and the sounds of the forest are alive as the two of you sort of hang back looking at each other nervously.
Woo! Oh my god. And I look to Sally and ask myself if there's anything I could do to ease her pain.
She says, no, I think I'm feeling okay now. I can't believe what I saw. And she puts her backpack over her shoulder, her face and brow wet with sweat, and she sort of pushes on, and you're forming like a line as Jonathan cuts through the trees with a machete, and Hollis, you see Jim sort of look at you.
Seems almost a waste now that we're here to be leaving so soon. Straight to the contingency plan, right?
Well, if I recall, Jonathan, as I haul her up, it seems to me that the rescue boat, the contingency plan that Chapman put in place, it's not happening for another 2 days. We've only just arrived. We have to survive at least 2 days before the boats land on the West Beach.
And as you're talking, he's stopped, and the whole line of your congregation has stopped, and you're each sort of bumping into one another as you're sort of lining, and you continue on talking about how you need to find somewhere to stay and somewhere to live, and he stops, and you stop before the edge of this large valley, and you see there's a thick river that runs through the center of this island. As it opens up, you see a tall, beautiful mountain to your right, bathed in sunlight. You see a deep valley filled with tall creatures, which look like dinosaurs, like brachiosauruses and brontosauruses. You see herds of creatures you don't even recognize moving through, and you're awestruck by this sight at the edge of this valley of just this lush, untamed wild, this Garden of Eden. And as your eyes survey the scenery, you see Jonathan sort of look to the side, and next to the valley there's a small clearing and what looks to be a boat tipped upright, a large old sailing boat, the tip of one, and standing in the doorway is a man with a long, scraggly beard and thick gray hair, his eyes wet with tears, wearing nothing but a loincloth, and he looks at you and he says, "Have you finally come to rescue me?" And we're going to end there.
Oh my God.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Skeleton Key, part 1 of what might be a multi-part episode, the Maiden Expedition. I hope you've enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's multi-part because that was certainly not an end.
Oh, no, absolutely. Listen, there's lots more story to tell. The Skeleton Key is a little bit of a tribute to these great movies that I love, these adventure movies and things like that. But I'm going to tell you right now, many people will be visiting this island over a multitude of eras. This first era is not yet done. The maiden voyage, taking place in 1918 with these characters, will conclude. And we will also be visiting the island at different times. Perhaps surviving characters will come up to play. We will have to see what happens. But I hope you had fun tonight. I had a lot of fun. What a great role playing from you guys. You're fantastic. Well done.
I had a lot of fun. Great setting. And you talk about good role playing from us. You're playing 4 or 5 characters. You know what I always love is how you can, or I guess we all kind of do this, but you know, how we can really separate these characters. You know, talking with you, Harlan, as Jonathan. I can then turn to Eric and and be like, oh, you're an asshole, and feel like 2 totally different ways. You know?
Good. Well, I'm glad. I had a lot of fun playing all those characters, so I'm glad that you guys enjoyed them. Endgame XP, lots of amazing comments tonight. A lot of really cool people joined as well. What are you guys thinking? Anyone say anything specifically really good?
Oh,
I noticed that Mark guessed the trapdoor spiders first off, which is pretty good.
You know what? Speaking of, at the beginning of the episode, we were talking about people coming back and saying hello.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Gabe Ruiz in a while.
Oh, Gabe's back. Let's give it to
Yeah.
Gabe. Gabe for coming back.
nice.
Gabe, you win Endgame XP by coming back. That's all it takes. Just come back and hang out. But no, so many fantastic comments tonight. So much fun.
Totally.
I'm so glad you guys hung out and enjoyed this. There's so much more to do on this island and so many more histories to reveal. So I'm really excited. And it's going to be exciting. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you had a fantastic Wednesday evening. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. I will let you all know if we do a spooky stream. Justin has some things to talk about real quick.
All I want to say is that next week we are going to be kicking off with a brand new Dungeons & Dragons ongoing campaign, which I'm very excited for. Me and everybody else on the stream has been putting our heads together with some collaborative world building. But what I really want to talk about is that the community campaign is going to be going alongside that D&D campaign. I'm going to be doing a post tomorrow on Facebook that's going to introduce everybody to the community campaign aspect. You're going to be able to create your own Dungeons & Dragons character. If you don't have the Dungeons & Dragons 5.0 Player's Handbook, no problem. You just let me know what kind of character you're going to be making and what role they're going to serve. And we're going to be doing weekly missions, kind of like what we did with Star Wars, if you remember that. So that's all going to drop tomorrow. So I hope you guys are paying attention to the Facebook group. If you aren't on the Facebook group, you want to be a part of this, then join the Facebook group.
A lot of exciting stuff. I'm super excited for this. We are all super pumped for the community game and for the D&D game, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, excellent. So that is it from us. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening, a fantastic weekend. I'll let you know if we're doing a spooky stream, so keep your eye on the group, not just for the community stuff, but also for everything else that's coming your way.
Yep.
That is it from us. As my best friend Justin always likes to say,
Oh shit, I'm totally unprepared.
oh shit, I'm totally unprepared, guys. Good night.